the pre-reveal stream by BFNations. Tonight we'll be watching the live announcement from EA, where they will be introducing the 5th edition. No, it's not, probably not the 5th edition.
Can you learn to count, please?
Yes. There we have it. My name is Anwar, and with me I have the one, the only, legend, L-A-M-P. No, okay. Lamp.
Right, guys, it's Lamp. Hello, everyone. Good evening.
And, well, what's the idea here? We're kind of winging it. We also have Chaos with us. Chaos, can you actually speak?
Everyone.
Yeah. All right, cool. You're not just in our ears this time. It's not a normal match stream, so that's cool. Yeah, I mean, what will we be doing here? Well, we were thinking it would be a cool idea to just involve the entire community in some banter and discussion about the next game, and maybe invite a few guests on. We're totally winging this in classic BFN fashion. But it would be a fun idea just to count the clock up to the big reveal. So.
Yeah, for sure. I'm super pumped. We have no idea what we're doing, but as Anwar said, we're going to wing it. We're relying on you guys to kind of give us some talking points, and let's just see how far we can get without losing all of our viewers.
Yeah, and you know, by the end of it, we can always insert silence until the actual reveal comes up. So. Yeah. Anyway, I kind of got a bit of a narrative on paper before starting the stream, a few points. So just to get everyone on the same page here, at 10 o'clock, and that's
like
CEST. How do you pronounce that time zone?
Kest.
Right.
I don't have a clue, mate. Come on.
So at 10 o'clock Kest, where an event is taking place, right? Where we're expecting to see the trailer for Battlefield 5 or BFV. Yeah, right. That's going to become a big talking point, I guess, how to actually say the name of the game. And the event itself is going to be hosted by Trevor Noah, South African comedian. Yeah, and nothing really else to add about him, I guess. The event is taking place, I think, in Guildford, UK. If I'm not mistaken. Thought it was going to be in London first, but I guess EA has a headquarters in Guildford. So yeah. Does that sound about right so far, Lamp?
Yeah, I think it sounds like a really good, little list of things we can do. I will add, though, that if we do get to the stage where we stop talking or run out of things to say, I can always tell you some dad jokes if you prefer.
Yeah, okay, let's not do that and actually fill up every human second available to us.
Okay, fine, yeah, sure.
All right, so as far as what's been revealed so far, on May 10th, the room Easter egg was found in the game, right? That was I didn't find it myself, so I'm just having this told to me that there was a room with a bunch of switches, and that kind of led players to the link on the EA website.
Yeah, we're actually playing the video about the Easter egg at the moment.
Oh, right. Okay, cool. So I should actually be watching that. Yeah. All right. Yeah, cool. Yeah, right. And this led to some link. Is that correct?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, I think so.
So at the end of this Easter egg, you got a Morse code, which then led to a link on a website, and I think it was EA.com, never be the same.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that was basically on that website. There was the text May 23 or 23rd. Battlefield never be the same, and that's where it all started.
I think on the video now, if you're looking, the whole idea was there are these buttons behind some wood on the walls, and I don't know who worked this out, but they have to be really clever to have, done this and figured out how it works. Because, I'll be honest, I don't spend my time on maps all alone, just destroying stuff to find buttons. But it's really clever.
Like Chaos does, you mean?
Yeah, Chaos. But I think it's really clever how EA do their Easter eggs and how they design everything. I think it's really good for the community. Like, there's this Battlefield Easter egg community, and over the past few days I've been in there just seeing what they're doing, and there's so many people like getting involved and trying to figure out all the clues. Super interesting.
Yeah, that's cool. That's that's interesting to see from EA. That well, they often get slagged off for not doing community stuff. So that's a cool thing, I think. Okay, well, the Easter egg room was found in the game on May 10th. I think we got the date right there. And the landing page that players got to from ea.com/neverbethesame was essentially a horse with the text "will never be the same." Anything we want to add on that horse?
It's a nice looking horse.
Nice looking
It has
horse.
balls.
Oh my god. Thanks, Chaos.
Yeah, thanks.
Anyone who knows that reference, I salute to you.
So has anyone actually worked out what it means yet then? Because I've been trying to, Google it and work it out myself, but I'm just getting nowhere.
Yeah, it's kind of weird to see a horse there, because, I mean, this much I can say for sure, or this much I'm sure of. I don't think the next Battlefield game will be a World War I game. So will there be horses? Why was there a horse?
I don't know. Maybe one of our viewers can tell us, like, were horses used a lot in World War II still, or have they been, by that point, outlawed, shall we say, and replaced by cars?
Right. What are we missing about the horse here? Any horse info is super welcome.
Shout out to Joey who says, I love BFNations. Well, BFN loves you too, mate.
It's to do with the horse meat scandal in the UK, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was bad, man. I remember that.
All right, let's continue in the meantime. But yeah, let's put a flag in the horse for now. On May 16th, Trevor Noah dropped a video on his Instagram account, right? Where he's stating that he will be presenting the show tonight. And he's also raising a coffee cup, or possibly a teacup. There's no consensus really on this one. With the BFV logo
Just
on
call it a mug, please, all right?
A mug. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Mugshot.
Yeah.
Right. What's special about that? Well, that was the first time we saw the logo, I think.
I think that was the first time we ever saw anything related to V. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, interesting that he released that on his account. It must have been good for his viewers. And maybe opened up an entirely new audience to the comedy of Trevor Noah.
I think without making the horse the whole theme of tonight's stream, I think it was really interesting to see actually how when he was playing on the screen, out of all things, the horse was there. So I actually thought the horse may have been like the ending to BF1 and had nothing to do with the next game. But the fact the horse is there, I think maybe might give us a clue as to the next game and what it's going to involve. Personally, I think the black streaks across the painting, maybe oil from aviation engine fluid or something. I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting to find out, and I hope the trailer sheds some light on this evening.
Yeah. I mean, if anyone has any good theories about any of this stuff, spit it out, and we'll try and hash through them. But okay. May 16th, Trevor Noah drops a video. Right. And then I guess the big one came on May 21st, where Battlefield dropped a teaser on the official YouTube account, which we've all seen, I think, showing a soldier who looks like a pilot. Or, I mean, that's a pilot, right? That's a pilot. I mean, he's wearing the pilot goggles, all of that stuff. Possibly strangling or quieting down what is either an enemy or an ally. Did I get that right?
Yeah, you did indeed. No idea what it means. At first, I actually did think it was a pilot, but it's starting to look like maybe a paratrooper.
All right, those have glasses too, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And the game mode being played. I mean, that could have been a cinematic, right? But it actually seemed like it was part of the actual gameplay, since it seemed as if they were playing Conquest on multiplayer.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think it's going to be the bug that we all know about where someone gets spawned on while they're dying or something. I think it's like maybe a melee animation of someone getting stabbed or choked to death or something.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure. Chaos, what do you think?
I don't really know myself. I haven't really been looking into that too much.
I mean, one thing's for sure, that dude needs a shave. I mean, come on.
Well, maybe.
So what about the game mode itself? Do you think? I mean, do you think this was in-game or a cinematic shot? I mean, it could. If you think about the bayonet charge, for example, in BF1, that looks really cinematic, and yeah, it would make sense that this was something within the gameplay itself. But wow, that's a long animation for a melee takedown, if that's the case.
Yeah, I really doubt that would be an animation that we would be seeing on the actual multiplayer too often.
No.
But at the same time, it definitely didn't seem like a animation that would happen in this single player unless they'll be bringing out Conquest to single player. But hard to tell at this point.
And I mean, the game mode was looked like it was the old Conquest system where tickets were counted down instead of up. So that's interesting, I guess, that they might be reworking how Conquest works for the next release. Yeah. What else? Anything else we're missing here as far as what's been revealed goes? There's been a few leaks, I guess. Someone captured something from was it a PlayStation store or?
Yeah, I think it was originally found in the Japanese PlayStation store, if I'm not completely incorrect here. But there was the screenshot that was having the same Battlefield V background and also a soldier in it. So anyone interested to look that up, you should easily find it on the internet, and it definitely seemed quite legit.
Yeah. Then there's I'm just gonna check here. Are you still with us, Lamp? Oh, okay. Maybe having experienced some technical difficulties here. You might be rejoining us soon. There is the case of the actual era that the game is taking place in, right? I have to be fair here. I haven't really kept up too much with the pre-release speculation. Just trying to gather all the information now and catch up, really. Are we sure that this is a World War II game?
Well, what kind of a question is that? Come on, man. Of course it is.
I'm trying to build a hype here. You know, we could spend an hour or so speculating in a sci-fi BFV, you know.
Yeah, I think if you look really closely at the teaser, there's like a spaceship flying across the sky. No, but seriously, I did think the teaser was really good. I think the sky was really nice, how it was dynamic. Like on the left side, it was a bit more like light and cloudy, and on the dark side, you had like a rainstorm coming in. I don't know if you noticed that, but personally, I'm really excited to see World War II in the Frostbite engine, seeing how they've designed it, seeing all the cool visuals they can make. I'm just pumped, man. And how long to go? Like 2 hours, 1 hour and a bit?
1 hour and a bit.
Minutes or so.
80 minutes or so. So that's 80 minutes of suffering in silence, perhaps. But we'll see. We're gonna have some guests coming on. Okay, so that basically locks down World War II. Then, I mean, you've been in those discussions. What were the kind of tell signs to yeah, I don't know, like lock it down that this is a World War II game?
I think for me, the first confirmation really was the type of clothing the soldier was wearing in the teaser. For me, that was the biggest confirmation. So the goggles, they look like German 306 goggles, and a Fjellraven jacket, which is a really popular jacket amongst German troops. Of course, the HUD, you had the Wehrmacht against the Brits. So that was a really big giveaway for me.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Be interesting then to see if we're gonna see because I personally haven't been checking out any reveal like the one we're going to see tonight, which I'm sure most of our viewers have been around for previous reveals of previous Battlefield games like Battlefield 4, Battlefield 1. I used to play BF 1942, which was also a World War II game.
You're an old man.
Yes, I'm an old man, so I'll be drawing a lot of, I guess, correlations to that game and to see how, if it's a World War II game, which it really seems like it is, if they will be repeating the same sort of format for this game, or if they're gonna sort of reinvent that. I don't know. Personally, I'd be really psyched to see new versions of those old maps. I doubt that's gonna happen though. I guess they'll go probably for some new formula or some new take on World War II. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree with you. I think there is so much stuff that they could cover, across World War II. Things like Battle of the Bulge, like from World War I and stuff, and moving into World War II, D-Day landings, attack on Normandy, Battle of Britain. All of these things have been done so many times in past titles, not just by Battlefield. So I think it'll be nice to see some more gameplay, or perhaps some operations from things that are a bit more obscure, like maybe some Norwegian assaults, maybe the first attack into Poland, maybe some stuff from the Russian front. I think there's just so much stuff that they could do and design that can move away from the traditional D-Day landings, like with World at War, or like the previous Battlefield game where you have attack boats going in to land on the beach with the tank obstacles and stuff. It's just really cliche, and I want to move away from that kind of atmosphere and theme.
Right. No, that's a valid point. Although, to be fair though, I mean, we haven't seen Battlefield do any. I mean, the only second time they did World War II was just for this revival game, 1944, right? Which was a PlayStation downloadable, and that was essentially just a refresh on 1942. So I don't know. I have to say I'd still like to see them do these kind of traditional battles like the Omaha Beach, all of that stuff. In with this new Frostbite engine, I think it would be really cool, and just add a whole new layer of. Dare I say, immersiveness.
Oh, fuck you. Sorry, I shouldn't swear. Yes. Can I just give a quick shout out to Avikan for 11 months now, subscribed to BFN. Thank you very much.
Whoop, whoop.
Really seriously appreciated.
Only one more month away from a year.
Yeah, one more month and you're officially old.
Yeah. That's awesome. Thank you, Avikens. All right then. Trevor,
Should we talk about that leaked image from the PS4? I don't know what it was. This kind of like invitation to an event.
Yeah.
There was this leaked image of a soldier with what gun was it? M1 carbine, I think it was, or something. Remind me.
Yeah, that was an M1. Was it a carbine though? What's the other one called? M1.
I don't know. I think one of these World War II geeks might have
it was the carbine, right? Because there's
All right.
the M1 Garand as well, right? That's yeah, okay. Yeah, carbine, I think.
Yeah.
Can we get that picture up on the screen, perhaps? Who has that picture?
Someone's saying M1 Garand in the chat. For the peak, thank you.
Chaos is working on it. Let's see. We can take any questions from the chat as well.
I hope you guys are really enjoying this gameplay of a man repeatedly striking a pipe with a broken bottle.
I can tell you it was a tedious process when I was going for it. I bet I went through those pipes like 3 times every single spot, and then I found the first one.
Like, what are you doing? Why?
Yeah, this doesn't look tedious at all.
Yeah, the dice Easter eggs never are easy. This was pretty easy compared to the Morse codes ones, which I personally listened through instead of using any actual audio processing tools to actually see.
That's just bringing back PTSD. I spent hours and hours on those things because I just couldn't get like a clear recording from the in-game sounds. Because if I remember correctly, maybe someone will say in chat, you had to be like on an active server with people actually playing to get the recordings. So my issue was like I kept on getting killed, knifed, explosions going off around me. I just couldn't get a clear recording. It was so annoying.
That was so funny because you later went into the BFNations chat in general and were like, oh, who cares about this stuff?
Yeah.
I totally dismiss it.
I mean,
I never heard that part of the story.
Thanks for calling me out there. Appreciate
that. Bloody Slayer. No, I'm not in the DICE studio at the moment. They probably have better mics than this.
Oh yeah, I've completely forgot to look in general chat. There's people talking there as well.
Oh, cool. We should get him onto Twitch.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep track of 2 chats at the same time.
Come on, guys, hop onto Twitch.
Yeah.
Come on over, join the party.
Let's have a BFNations fans fest here.
So, what guns do you think, or are you hoping, will be in the game then, or tanks, for example?
Thompson.
Yeah, of course, Thompson.
No, that's the one. I'm super sprayy when I play, so
yeah.
And the new substitute for the Hellregal is for sure going to be the Thompson for me. No more rifles, please.
Someone's saying Tiger tanks, and yeah, I mean, I think probably half of BFN knows this by now, but I'm really looking forward to tanks. Like,
yeah,
multiplayer tanks where you can actually cooperate with each other a bit more than in BF1. And I don't know, I've just missed the whole idea of having a tank that isn't just like a big metal box on tracks and a gun on the front.
Yeah. Oh, there we have the picture up on the stream right now, I think.
Indeed.
Wow, some live editing going on here.
Fantastic.
Yes, fantastic. Yeah. Okay, what is there to say about that?
Should we zoom in first of all? It's a bit small on my screen still. There we go. Yeah, zoomed in now. So, yeah, there's a paratrooper jacket. I'm not really sure what he's got on his back. It looks, I don't know what it looks like really. He's got a torch hanging off his belt as well. He's
a flashlight thingy. Right?
Yeah. I think overall it's definitely like an American paratrooper by the weapons and what he's wearing. So for sure some US involvement early on in the game, I would say.
Yeah, he looks American too. I bet they chose an American-looking model for that.
Exactly. Like no British soldier would have hair that good in model.
He has this like Sergeant Brody swag from Homeland.
Oh yeah, you've seen Homeland, have you? Nice. Also the altimeter around his wrist as well is a dead giveaway that he's probably a paratrooper.
Yeah. Pants.
Yeah. Phantom in chat saying M1911 as his handgun. Yeah. That's in BF1 as well, isn't it? That gun, so that pistol. So it's obviously carried over.
Some standard issue thing there. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's not an actual soldier. It's a model posing for a aesthetic image in the game. I mean, so maybe we can't draw too many conclusions. From it.
You can't say that and then after that be like, oh, this game is so immersive. Can you just immerse yourself in the reality?
Okay, right? I'm immersing.
Okay.
Yeah, good that we can get.
Do you think this was released on purpose though by whoever did this, or do you think it's a mistake from Sony?
There's a lot of like moving pieces when you're releasing a kind of AAA title like this, right? I mean, people, some information needs to go out to certain partners before it's public knowledge, and stuff needs to be prepared. So I guess it's perfectly possible that this wasn't on purpose at all, and it was just found out maybe by a player who, I don't know. Well, I don't know where it was found.
If it was a mistake, well, thank you, whoever did that, Mr. Employee or Mrs. Who knows?
Yeah, but now we have. There's one pattern here actually. Paratroopers, right? So you were guessing this was a paratrooper in the image, a U.S. paratrooper, and we were also suggesting that it might be a paratrooper who did the choke or whatever it was in that little teaser that was released on YouTube. So maybe that's a big deal in the game.
Yeah, I personally hope so. At least, yeah.
World War II Battle Royale, says Muggy.
Can you please just leave the chat, Muggy? That's not acceptable. We will not tolerate that here.
Should we get into that topic? Do we want to dive into?
Okay, all right, okay. Let's just do it. All right.
Okay, let's do it.
All right.
So, well, obviously we have no idea. We have no clue at all. We're watching this just like everyone else, but a lot of people have speculated, or I don't know if it's speculation or if it's just hope, because they're playing a lot of Fortnite and PUBG, but they've been hoping for a Battle Royale mode in the next installment of Battlefield. Is it? I don't know. How would we even determine whether or not it's likely? I guess in one regard you could say that it's been so successful when Fortnite has done it, and PUBG obviously. And I mean, despite the fact that Fortnite is now taking over, PUBG is a huge game as well. So there's a big potential market there, I guess, that EA might be looking at. But how likely is it that we'd see them do that in the next Battlefield game? I don't know.
I don't think it's going to be out for release. I think it's probably going to be like a DLC or something. It's a big risk because I don't think Battlefield, the franchise, has had a mode like that before. It's also a big risk because the whole player base, they're not really used to that kind of gameplay from this franchise before. But just like you said, it's a really big opportunity for EA and DICE to cash in on this whole mega popular mode, which we're seeing a lot of, like you said, PUBG, Fortnite, H1Z1 now as well. If they do it right and they implement, their own style and it has a really nice BF atmosphere to it, I think it could work. But overall, I would prefer them to concentrate on operations mode and on incursions rather than dedicate anything else into a battle royale mode.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, one argument for doing it, I guess, is the fact that they have the engine for it. I don't know, I couldn't tell you where the upper limit goes for the Frostbite engine today, but because obviously we haven't seen, I don't know, 80 versus 80 matches take place in the normal Battlefield game, but there is an engine there capable of handling a lot of concurrent players and doing so with, come on, let's face it, is the gunplay and the non-lagginess or non-bugginess is actually, I mean, it's better in Battlefield than it is in a game, at least like PUBG. I don't know, Fortnite has made some headway there, I guess, and become better. But
yeah,
but it is an impressive engine. Maybe they could do something like this. I don't know. I really don't know. I have no clue whether they're planning to do this or not.
I mean, I don't know, man. I think from what I've read over the past week or so from the BFN community is that they don't really want a battle royale mode.
Well, that's what we're getting here as well in the chat. Everyone going, no battle royale, please no.
DICE, please.
I'll make a final attempt at a defense for this, because I spoke with Vic Boo about this earlier. I mean, one thing they could actually do to kind of also incorporate the fact that it's Battlefield. What if you did something where you dropped as squads, right? Of course, squads are already a part of games like Fortnite.
We're just giving it like a low-key leak from you now.
No, it's not a low-key leak. I have no clue.
All right, okay.
You're doing like bunny ears in the air now.
Yeah.
No. I have no idea. But what if they did something like a squad-based, right? But also using the different synergies between the classes in the game, in a way where you sort of have to cooperate to a larger degree than everyone just building things and shooting things. But that you have a medic class, you have a support class, etc. And combine that with a battle royale mode, maybe by paratrooping down on the ground or something. I don't know.
Interesting, but like, how would the synergy work though? Would the medics all be in one plane, and the assaults in one other have to hook up somewhere?
You'd be forced to like put together a mixed squad.
Okay.
Where there's just one class each. Like you're locking classes in incursions, pretty much. Okay, well, I tried.
Yeah, you tried.
Anyhow, seems like the Battle Royale kind of splits opinion at least, and maybe isn't that popular of an idea among the current fan base. I'm gonna go check now if we have any guests that want to join us. If anyone in the Twitch chat wants to join the stream and just talk nonsense for a bit in anticipation of the big reveal, then just ping me on Discord or right here in Twitch, and we'll get you on.
My microphone is working for once, so if anyone wants to hop into the stream and say hello, and we can have a nice argument about incursions or something, just let me know, and we'll drag you in if Anwar doesn't mind. Should we talk about incursions then, or are you now gone?
No, I'm still around. Yes, that's what I'm aiming for here. We have a potential guest here who might want to talk some competitive with us, and we can perhaps cover a bit how we're expecting the competitive, well, what's currently there in BF1, aka incursions, to transition into the next game. I think that might be an interesting topic to drill down on.
Yeah, I think so too. We were waiting for our guest then. Should I tell some dad jokes in the meantime?
There's some there's some dad jokes in the meantime. There's some admin I need to do in the background.
Right, boys, dad jokes, here we are.
Did you actually have any lined up? Or?
I'm just Googling them now, yeah. All right, so if someone donates 10 quid to the stream, I'll be quiet. But until then, here we go. I'm on a seafood diet. I see food, I eat it. If I'm not back in 5 minutes, just wait longer.
Do you realize that they're not able to even donate to us?
Oh, well, I don't know then, just spam the chat or something, I don't know, man.
All right. Okay,
lazy.
You don't have to continue with
my dad joke, excuse me. I'm not lazy, I'm just very relaxed. Okay, I'll stop now.
All right. We have PresidentSlendy with us right now.
Greetings.
Hello, Slendy. Hello. So yeah, we were fighting our way through this stream now. Really psyched about getting the information on what is this game gonna be, how is it gonna work. We talked a little bit about what we saw in the trailer and what conclusions we can really draw from the information that's been published so far. Like, first of all, I guess, what are your takes on the next game? Like,
I mean, there's
not general impression.
There's not a lot of information out there already. Obviously, there's some leaks and there's a lot of speculation, and obviously there's been a lot of speculation for a few months now. But from what I've seen so far, I mean, I'm definitely excited, and just like most other people, the World War II leak especially is something that I think a lot of people are like, they want to explore it because Battlefield haven't you know, had a World War II setting for a very long time.
Yeah.
And I think that is going to be something interesting to experience once again. Also, when it comes to competitive specifically, what you could say about the setting is that since the current game, Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 1 Incursions, based on World War I, shouldn't have a too hard of a transition to go over to World War II in that case, I'm guessing. So that is something positive in case it is a World War II game. Yep.
I think a good question there is as well, I guess, is will they keep the same engine? And I somewhat suspect they will. There seems to have been this thing where they use one engine for 2 games and then update it. Although, of course, Frostbite engine isn't just used by Battlefield these days. But yeah, do you have any thoughts on that specifically about the game engine itself?
I mean, we've had Frostbite 3 since Battlefield 4 now, and although it would be cool to see a new engine, but at the same time, I would say that it does come with a few drawbacks as well. and being a competitive focused guy that I am, I would prefer to maybe see the same engine to avoid like less bugs, less glitches, I guess, at least to begin with. So maybe it would make sense for like maybe Frostbite 4 or another engine to come in the next game or so on. But at the same time, like I said, yeah, it would be cool to see a new engine. But for me personally, it's not the end of the world if we see Frostbite 3 again.
Yeah, no, agreed. But that's exactly where I was heading with the question was, I mean, it might be actually be nice for us to see the same engine repeated with more refinements into things like, you know, the smaller details, like the gunplay, the well, there's everything from the time to kill and the slide mechanics and all of this more nuanced stuff that at least I'm getting the sense that most of the competitive community would rather see a very kind of outright focus on those details rather than a massive overhaul of, you know, improvement in graphics and things like that.
I mean, if you look at the really competitive games, they all have really bad graphics. Just look at CS:GO.
That's fair enough, but is that though an argument that competitive games need to have poor graphics?
No, I don't think so at all. I just think if there is an argument to be made, it's more about reaction time and not having all this, you know, visual fluff around you. But in terms of the engine, I think they have made updates at least to the Frostbite engine. Just from the teaser, I think we'll find out more when the trailer drops. But for me, the sky, after I said it before, I think the sky just looks really great compared to BF1.
Yeah, that's good. Slendy, by the way, do you know anything about the horse in the reveal? Do you have any horse info?
I mean, I kind of made a joke about it and said that we can most likely expect some cavalry combat, maybe in space with lightsabers. You know? But yeah, you know, it was pretty much a joke. But to be honest, the horse itself, to be honest, it doesn't tell us too much. But maybe we will find out today or very soon at least what it is hinting towards, or if it was even hinting towards something.
Yeah. Well, that's fair enough. We'll see. Okay, so I mean, you're a competitive player. That's your thing. You've been playing Battlefield competitively for how long now?
Since 2015, so 3 years.
So, what do you think about the fact that, I mean, EA or EA DICE, they're trying something really hard here, right? They want to build a game that has this kind of mass appeal and like Hollywood studio quality, you know, like all of this stuff that goes with a big game release like this one, which is supposed to appeal to, well, every type of player really.
Right.
Needs to be easy enough for anyone to just pick up and play, but also have enough depth for you to, you know, stick with it and keep playing it. So generally, and I think Lamp kind of touched on this with his comment there. Games like that don't generally like forge a really like big, strong competitive community. Although you see games like Fortnite now getting a bigger competitive appeal, which of course isn't a game that was initially designed for, you know, eSports outright, I guess. What are your thoughts on that? Like that whole conundrum of building a big game while keeping it.
Yes. So my thoughts on this is actually something I've been thinking about for many years now, because competitive in previous Battlefield games has all, and at this point as well, has been about pretty much its own community. There's been a competitive community sort of running on their own with their own game mode. 5-on-5 domination or 5-on-5 squad obliteration, or now 5-on-5 incursions. Now the thing is, these modes are not something that the typical Battlefield player will just pick up and play once they get the game. It's something that you need to sort of almost look for in order to even get into, and this is the difference, I would say, between your example here, Fortnite and Battlefield. Because in Fortnite competitive, it is still the same game mode. Like you play the battle royale basically, and It is the same in games like CS:GO, which is an actual esports. Like anyone playing CS:GO will play can play a competitive match, and it's the same because like in the actual competitive scene, because it is the exact same game mode. This is not the case with Battlefield though, and that is sort of what's been the problem for a long time. And yeah, that is the difference right there.
But I guess you remain optimistic then that they're gonna somehow solve that whole conundrum and manage to make a game that can do both things at the same time. So.
Yes, basically what needs to be done, what I at least think needs to be done is that they need to add a finished product, like a competitive product, into the base game, where it is a game mode next to Rush or Conquest or Team Deathmatch, simply called Incursions or whatever they want to call it, just so that any player that picks up Battlefield is able to play in a competitive environment, and by that have a legit transition, or even develop some form of interest into watching or playing a competitive Battlefield.
Yeah, that would be somewhat similar to what they've done with FIFA, where well, maybe I'm the only one playing FIFA.
Well, but, this is something Yo-Yo touched on actually on his 24-hour stream, which is how can they make Incursions competitive, but also like a pick up and play mode where someone from base game with no competitive background can just pick up and play. So Slendy, you make some good comments, like you know, just basically having Incursions as a separate mode. The only issue I see with that is when you have these different kits and Incursions which are completely different to the traditional sniper, medic assault and stuff. How is that going to work? Because there's still that learning curve between base game and Incursions. So
yes,
what can they do to mitigate that?
This is very true. What they would need to do is actually have some legit type of training for a transition into a competitive match. Again, CS:GO as an example, they have a level system where you need to reach a specific level where you practice. Well, in that game you basically just practice killing people, but you at least need to put some hours into the game before you can access a competitive match. In Battlefield, since you mentioned that there are different like kits, they would need to do this type of system, I think, but with maybe a little bit more depth, so that you also learn about the kits specifically. Maybe they could take the training range we already have to a further step, where you could practice with one kit at a time, learning how to play it, getting some general tips, actually having moving targets, maybe basically a more in-depth training for just learning about the competitive experience.
Like a shooting range, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but more developed, basically.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point.
Nice.
So what about Incursions today? Like, if you go by, I don't know, your perhaps top 3, top 4 main thing that you think would need to be addressed in Incursions as it looks today in BF1 before it kind of reaches this, or before it can reach this sort of mature stage that you're talking about in the next in the next Battlefield game?
This is actually a very tricky question, because the biggest question for me right now about Incursions as a whole is, are they wanting to keep a single game mode, a single competitive game mode, and implement it on multiple maps, or are they wanting to make multiple maps with multiple game modes? So, for example, one game mode per map, or one game mode for this set of maps and another type of game mode for another set of maps, and then have them all in the same map pool, because this will actually determine a lot of I mean, how map layouts can be, if they're gonna use the same map layouts as for a casual based game mode. You know, it is going to depend a lot on this. So therefore, it's kind of hard for me to say, like, mainly what needs to be addressed, because I've also seen today, actually on Twitter, a tweet by Indigo where he was talking about that they're working in the shadows on something that we haven't yet played or seen.
Right. Can we get that on screen, Chaos?
Working.
Yeah,
on
yeah.
it.
It's a really good tweet. I was actually about to bring this up, Slendy. Should we wait till it's up on screen so people can read through it, then we'll discuss?
Hold on. Yeah. Working on it.
Like breathing down Chaos' neck now.
Hurry up, Chaos.
What is the chat saying?
They're just complaining, really.
Okay. Yeah.
Victory, one of our admins in chat, saying, yeah, but BFH wasn't really BF, and I just think he needs to respect the fact that, you know, not every game is for everyone. I think that it was a good game, all right?
I never played a BFH.
I think
it was
it's the
fun.
beta, but that was pretty much it.
I just realized I'm surrounded.
Right, yeah.
There we go.
See it
Yeah.
now.
Oh wow, that's full
Thank you.
screen there.
Fantastic. Yeah, nice.
Beautiful. All right, Lamp, do you want to break this down?
All right, okay. So BF1 Incursions set out to create... sorry, I can't read. BF1 Incursions set out to scale down BF gameplay to work in 5v5. We have since course corrected to instead build the best competitive FPS we can, of which you have played or seen nothing. We work, we listen in the shadows like ninjas. I wish we could talk details already. So it's a very vague tweet, obviously. But I think what he's saying is, if you look at the original Incursions trailer from last year's EA Play, their aim really was to downscale the base game and make Incursions like have that Battlefield feel with the tank and stuff. And so far, almost consistently, the feedback has been that tanks don't really belong there. So maybe he's referring to that. I don't know. What do you think, Slendy?
I mean, for the tank aspect itself, this is actually almost a whole other topic because there's a lot to say about it. But as you said, there's been a lot of feedback on the tank. But personally, when talking about this topic, I have to say that I honestly think it's going to be hard to straight up remove the tank from Incursions because it is such a core element of it already. And the tank is what brings the vehicles into Incursions, which is a big part of what makes it have that like actual Battlefield feeling, you know.
But is that important though, or is Battlefield good enough as a standalone FPS game, you know, without just infantry based, that it can actually compete with other games on that basis? I think that's.
I would say it could, but at the same time, we also could think about that. Do you guys know any other competitive first-person shooter that is a 5 versus 5 game, but that also has a tank or a vehicle? This is actually a way that Battlefield could stand out as an eSports.
Yeah, but should it? I mean, if you know, I can't think of any to answer your question, but if every single other 5v5 competitive mode doesn't have vehicles, it's obviously a formula that works, and why should they try and be different? In my opinion, I think they should have a 5v5 mode, infantry only, with a large skill gap, and then a competitive larger game mode with vehicles, like 8v8 or maybe even 10 or 12. 2 distinct modes, 1 infantry and 1 vehicle. I think that's the formula that might work.
Right. I would actually take this one step further. There's a lot I can say about this, but I would actually first of all not make it 5 versus 5. I would make it 6 versus 6. Due to how many classes there are, and instead of removing the tank, I would have maps designed in a way so that the tanks can't be as effective on certain maps. So this would make map videos especially interesting, as some teams may be better with the tank and some teams may be better without the tank. And by doing this, we could see a much more interesting matchup in terms of just what classes are being played and so on.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, we'll see what they've come up with. I guess there's apparently been done work in the shadows by the ninjas, and we'll see what that is. But I don't know. I found that tweet a bit weird. It was he brought it up as if there was a contradiction here. Like BF1 Incursions set out to scale down BF gameplay to work in 5v5. We have since course corrected. What's the course correction? Are they not doing 5v5?
I mean,
I don't know. There's so many ways to read that, I think.
the takeaway message from me actually was we set out to scale down BF gameplay to work in 5v5. So for me, that means we wanted to create an experience which was small scale while keeping the battlefield feel with mortars and anti-tank devices and the tank. And to me, I think actually they're going to scrap the whole idea for the next installment. This is my opinion, obviously. I think they'll scrap it all and work from the ground up to create something with infantry only and maybe make a secondary mode, or they'll keep the tank and make adjustments to how the game is played in terms of how the tank can be used and how it can be destroyed.
Right. This is also why the whole question about if they're gonna make multiple modes or if they're gonna stick to one mode matters so much, as I believe that the tank is not as effective in some modes as it is in others. So this will depend a lot, as I said.
Yeah, for example, if you take into account Amiens, and it's more of a rush type mode where it's really unforgiving. If you lose control, the enemy team will just come in and just take that point, and then you move on onto the next sector.
Yeah.
And that is really clutch on the tank. If you have a tank up, all you got to do is clear out the AT assault, for example, and that's it. You can pretty much take the point. So much depends on the skill of the tanker and the positioning, and on the big house on Charlie. Is it Charlie? I don't even remember. It's been so long since I played Domination. On the big house right in the middle, the wall facing Charlie Overwatch, it can't be broken down, so you can fire as much as you want into it. You can't destroy it. So it's like you said, some maps just are not suitable at all for tank gameplay, but it makes such a big difference. It's almost game breaking, in my opinion.
Yeah, this is the thing. A lot of teams even use the tank simply as a distraction, just so that the enemy team will focus a lot on it. And by doing this, they can themselves focus on the objective and actually win the match. So the tank is sort of a side objective almost, more than another piece in order to, I don't know, pick up the win.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. And I think following on from that, you have some really good teams that will destroy the tank immediately because they'll just focus it so much. Like you said, it's almost like a different objective. And after that, they're just going to focus the kit they have left on infantry. Like the mortar, for example. It's just so effective because the mortar, the splash damage it has, and also it spots enemies on as you fire. So it's really an important tool. And I don't think it's fair when the tank is down and it's focused on infantry because you can't move, basically. If you look at Sinai, for example, on the 3rd sector, if you have a good mortar, it's just, again, it's game breaking because it shouldn't be used against infantry. You've got 5 rounds every 45 seconds. How is that fair?
Yeah, it is. There are definitely some things that could be reworked. There's a lot of popular opinions about the weapons as well, like the BAR being crazy good on like long range and so on, almost like the laser gun, and I guess as they mentioned on the last Incursions live stream they did from DICE LA when they were talking about that the raid leader is currently the most effective kit in Incursions, like it has the most success rate for killing and the most success rate for winning matches. I strongly believe this is because they added a DLC weapon to the raid leader. So there could definitely be not only gadgets but also weapons reworked, and especially transitioning into a new game, I'm already assuming that we won't see a lot of the same guns anyway. So I guess this can sort of solve itself with the new weapons and gadgets coming in the new game potentially.
So just on that, what about the I mean, looking beyond the Incursions, and well, I mean, before Incursions was released, we were actually speculating whether or not it would be a whole separate game in the sense that things would be balanced differently, you would jump differently, you would slide differently, all of these things. I don't know. I mean, I don't know enough, I guess, about the game, but is that a big difference right now between the core game and Incursions itself in how some of the smaller gameplay mechanics behave?
I mean, to be honest, they have been keeping both of them pretty much up to date with each other. Like when the TTK update came, when the slide nerf came, and so on. They were not out at the exact same time, but around the same time. I think they were like a few days difference. Although I don't know, like now, if we are speculating on this tweet that they're working on something we haven't played or seen, is this a standalone game? In that case, yeah, it could definitely have other mechanics than another title that we're gonna be seeing, you know.
That would be a way, I guess, of also kind of supercharging this move towards a really clean competitive game where some of the frills that a casual player might really enjoy, I don't know what it would be, anything from seeing your own mirror image in the water or whatever, might not be as crucial in competitive and might just be considered bloat, right? Where stuff like that might be things you want to cut down on to just create this more cleaner, like fluid experience. I mean, if you do, if you compare a game like BF1 to Counter-Strike, you see a very clear difference in responsiveness and these that they might want to optimize for.
Although I have to say that Incursions is running on 120 tech servers, which is something that is great actually, and this is definitely something they should keep for whatever they're releasing in terms of competitive Battlefield.
Awesome. Thank you, Slendy, for joining. You can stick around if you want. We're just waiting down the clock here, essentially. Do you have anything else you want to add about, like, game release or thoughts about hopes? Maybe outside of competitive. I don't know. Do you play any single player or?
I mean, I pretty much played the first day, and then I don't really touch it again. But,
no war stories for you.
Right. But I mean, just outside of competitive, I hope it's going to be a good, enjoyable game to play in general. Outside of scrims and matches, me and my team, we like to mess around on public and just play for fun, you know. So I hope that experience won't be too frustrating at least. That's pretty much what I can say. Other than that, no, just thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for your input.
Yeah, thanks for joining.
Anwar, Synergie asked me to let you know he's ready, and I think Joey as well wanted to come on and have a
awesome. Let's queue up the guests. Chaos, will you?
So it's EXE Synergie, right? And we Joey.
Yeah. Good points by Slendy. I agree with everything he said, and also I think EA, DICE, you know, Indigo, they've all really taken on board the feedback, and I think they really care about making a great game for Incursions and making BF competitive. So I trust that they'll do a great job moving forward.
Hello, Synergie.
Yo, guys, what's up?
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Good to have you on board for a little talk. Okay, I'll get right into it. Like, I see some of your tweets sometimes, and generally I shake my head in agreement with a lot of what you say. You're sometimes too harsh, I think, or borderline hatey, but
no.
you make a lot of strong points, I think, on what should be improved about the game. Okay, let's draw up a scenario here. You're suddenly in charge of the production crew for the next Battlefield game. What are some, like, really core things that you think fundamentally need to change about the game, and I guess particularly pertaining to competitive?
Well, I think that they definitely should make sure that the ISP is stable, not like last year with BF1, because I think even though BF has never had competitive support like properly, we still have had like a lot of communities play in organized tournaments. So if we just give those people the tools to make those tournaments and stuff, then half of that stuff works on itself. But if they don't have like RSP working for a whole year, it just kills off the whole game. I mean, on PC, the whole community just left because like a big part of Battlefield just is playing with your friends and stuff.
Right.
And if you can't really do that properly, then it just so.
Okay, so RSP support is one thing that I think needs to improve in the game. Totally.
Just honestly make it possible for the community to do stuff with the game. I mean, okay, obviously we're not going to get mod support. That's like long gone. But give us like proper tools like spectator that works, ISP, etc., then people will make stuff out there because community is strong. We just gotta use it.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. But yeah, I mean that's an interesting kind of line of thought. There is about potential modding community for the game. I agree, it's long gone. We probably won't see anything like that introduced. But I mean, what are some ways that you think the community could actually directly contribute to making the game better?
Well, I mean, they, at least in BF4 with the CTE and stuff, they always look at community feedback.
Yeah.
Not so much in BF1, but whatever. At least in BF4, when they had a CTE running and people were actively testing stuff, they would usually respond to it really quickly. Like the community map, for example, that worked really well in my opinion.
Right.
So, I think if they, well, of course, it's really hard with the amount of feedback they get to like filter out the important stuff.
What was the community map? Can someone describe that? I
don't
wasn't
remember?
around back then. No, I wasn't playing the game.
Well, at the end of BF4, because of all the release stuff, they had like the last like 6 months or something. They were like constantly fixing the game and patching it so fast. And then they also at the end they had a map, community map they called it, where they had like the certain stages of the map on the CTE. So it started with like the alpha layout of the map, no textures, etc. And then they gave like people like multiple options what to choose, what they want to see in the map. And then they kept on building on it. Like,
so it was this like progressive, collaborative thing with the community.
Yeah. But they were like, okay, this is the B flag. We have like certain things we could do it. How should we do it? And then they had tested it multiple times and stuff until they were finally done with it, like with the community feedback. So that was actually really a lot of fun and turned out to be a good map. Of course, though, it's probably for them really hard to filter through all the important feedback, and often
it's a lot of chefs in the kitchen, right?
Yeah, and often they, in my opinion, take feedback from people who don't play the game that much too serious and stuff. So, and then like I feel in BF1 they looked at all the feedback too much. Like they just wasted insane amount of time looking at all the feedback, trying to consider it all instead of. I mean, they probably have competent game designers and stuff. Just let them do that. I mean,
yeah.
I don't.
But okay. Pulling you back then to my little scenario here. Of course, RSP is one thing you'd like to see a lot of more focus on. What about like these? Because a lot of the time when you write something and I'm like, yeah, that was a good point. It's generally about this more subtle mechanics of the game.
Yeah.
Can you speak anything about that? Like, yeah.
Like subtle mechanics they should maybe add or remove?
Well, add would be really interesting, but in particular, maybe stuff you'd like to see modified in how movement works or gunplay works.
Well, the 100% thing I would want to see removed is suppression, or like at least in a way where it's only visual, because at the release of BF3, I thought, okay, this is kind of cool and stuff, but I feel they never hit a sweet spot with it. It never hits the point where I'm glad suppression is in the game instead of suppression is not in the game. So, and also, like Rella once said in a few videos, you have to make the game feel fun. Like shooting a gun must feel fun.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a thing you have to test a lot. But for example, in BF3. If you like could control the M16 certain guns, etc., it felt fun and responsive, and that is down to many factors like hitboxes, how fast the bullets travel, suppressions, sound as well. Sound is really important. The reload animations, everything, and those are kind of stuff they have to just test a lot and see. But I think like in BF1, a lot of people just feel it kind of feels unresponsive to gunplay. It doesn't feel fun, and it's like a really hard way to give the deaths that way. But yeah, it's kind of like how do you say it?
What does the sound have to do with that? I've never ever had a complaint about the sound. I think they do a fantastic.
No, they obviously never had, but it's still important.
I think it's really good actually in BF1.
Yeah,
I do agree that
it's good in every Battlefield, but yeah, that's an important point.
a good kill sound really adds to the satisfaction.
Yeah. For example, in CS:GO, the headshot sound you make, that is really satisfying for a lot of people. Or COD, for example, kind of like made it ecstasy out of it with the hit marker sounds. There's a reason COD has the insane hit marker sounds.
Yeah.
It's because it feels fun. It feels responsive.
Yeah, totally agree. No, I love how we're going through the real minutiae of the game here.
Because BF1
BF1
also has a sound when you kill somebody. Like if you like finish the kill, it also makes a certain sound,
Right.
like the ching sound.
Yeah. It's the catching. Yeah, it sounds like a bullet flying or something. Yeah.
S Smart in chat says, "Let's kill the sniper class. Nobody needs scouts." A divisive opinion there.
Hey, let's talk snipers in the context of World War II. Who knows anything about military history?
Hello.
No idea. And you guys have the Twitch channel open.
Yeah.
Let me
You're
see
mine,
how-
man.
How do I do that?
We're currently watching ChaosZake do some really weird stuff on some community challenge. Is this still the Easter egg, Chaos?
Yeah, technically replaying the same clip. Hopefully not all of you saw this previously, but we kind of ran out of pre-recorded footage, so that's why we're rewriting
Is my
this.
volume fine, or is my volume too loud?
No. It's
That's right.
it's fine. It's fine.
Way too loud. I prefer silence. Chaos, can we get the teaser up again on the stream?
Yeah, we can do that.
What did you think of the teaser, Synergie? Do you think it gave too much away, or do you think it's just the right amount?
I thought it was like a nice teaser just to. Well, it did its job. It did tease people.
Oh yeah.
Give away a scenario and stuff, so at least 99% or whatever. So it was fine. But I'm pretty sure it was like a knife animation or something. Pretty damn sure.
It looks like it. Do you think Premium will be, someone in BFN chats talking about Premium, do you think Premium will still exist now moving forward? Or do you think after the whole Battlefront debacle, it's been removed?
That's really hard to say. I think yes. I think Premium will still be there. I'm pretty damn sure. Not gonna lie.
What do you think?
About Premium, I don't know. I think that whole I think the whole what would you call it, monetization model almost for games is going through this change, and I don't know how EA is going to react to it. We see so many free-to-play games now with in-game content being sold as one thing, and I don't know how they're gonna react to all. That's really my take on it, and that in turn, of course, affects how they're gonna deal with Premium and DLCs and all that stuff.
Interesting. I've just been distracted. Sorry. Someone, I'll give them some credit. Multi said, "Listen to the BF5 stream. The song is cool." And I just tuned in, and it's like a pipe-sounding sound. So I'm just thinking, I wonder if this whole Easter egg with ChaosZake hitting a pipe 5,000 times has anything to do with.
So that's playing right now in the other. Oh yeah, I got it now.
Yeah.
Last year they only showed off a trailer at the reveal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Then they're probably also gonna show off a trailer.
I think
as well.
gameplay may have to wait until next month.
Yeah.
Gameplay.
Yeah, didn't they last year like first show the trailer, and then they had like a huge gameplay event where they played the game for like 2 hours or something?
Yep. So I think the usual process is, from BF1 anyway, you have the teaser, then the trailer, and then a bunch of like meme videos about the trailer, and then a month after that you got gameplay and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, EA Play is going to take place quite soon, so that's a logical place to, yeah.
Is BFN going to be there?
Maybe.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's a really airy song that they're playing right now.
It is, yeah. It's really calming. I'm just going to stop talking, just listen.
I'll fall asleep here.
That sounds like a usual Battlefield soundtrack, kind of.
You're so negative, Synergie. Honest, just
No, I mean, like familiar. It's kind of like the.
You actually changed the image.
Yeah, something's moving now.
oh.
Can we? can we?
Oh, that looks like ESP. That looks like E.
What?
Oh, what? No, wait, what? Let's see.
So I wonder if you're about to ask if we are allowed to show it in the stream, and technically showing.
Oh no,
other
that's just
people's stream is
ELD
against the-
from Battlefield.
Sorry, is Chaos? Yeah.
Yeah, so technically showcasing other people's streams on your stream is technically against the TOS, so
Right.
I'm not able to do that.
So with that said, then anyone who's watching this stream right now, I'd recommend you to use multi-Twitch, multitwitch.tv/BFNations.
Link is just in the chat, so click it.
Yeah, it's in the chat. So just click that. So that's gonna give you the ability to actually watch our stream with the reactions while checking out the official EA Dice stream as well. It's pretty cool. Nifty thing you found there, Chaos.
Wait, I'm gonna go grab something to drink. Be right back, guys.
All right, take it easy, man.
Yeah, take your time. Half an hour at least, please.
Oof, damn. Can't bring the trolling onto the stream.
Sorry.
That's for the Discord. All right. Do we have any other guests that wanted to join in? Was it Joey who?
Joey said that he unfortunately couldn't make it after all.
Okay.
Got something that was more urgent than this.
All right.
Well, I'll just reiterate then, if anyone wants to come on and be very positive about Battlefield, just DM us and we'll get you on.
No, we've been critical. We've been giving everyone the real news without the spin.
If anyone has any good conspiracies about the horse, we definitely would like to hear those out.
Oh,
Yes.
Phantom says he wants to come, so let's invite Phantom
Oh
in.
yes. Let's have Phantom.
Phantom. How many X's was it on the front?
2X is Phantom 2332XX.
Got it.
So this is the author of the infamous Euro win video. Probably one of the proudest moments of BFN. during
You can do
stream.
better than that. Hang on.
Okay.
Okay.
That was weird.
Okay, too much
Okay.
trolling.
We'll get the Phantom joining us. Peningro also flagging. Things are moving now in the other stream. What is
Yeah.
it we're seeing there? This out of focus piece of
You can really tell, they've
There's still the soldier there, yeah.
I think it's just the letters of Battlefield.
Right.
Couldn't be so simple.
It will cost then if there's no premium.
This music is really different to Battlefield 1.
Just ignore me, that's cool.
Having some sound issues, I think.
I think we have
Hello,
Phantom.
Phantom. Hola.
Hola.
Do you prefer English?
We have
or
Phantom
Spanish?
with
I
us.
can translate for you.
Lamp, your microphone is now very low.
Can you put me back up, please?
That's normal.
Okay. There we go. Phantom,
Phantom.
hello?
Hello,
Hello. How's it going,
Okay.
man?
I'm fine.
Nice to have you on board. Have you been watching the stream?
Yeah, I have been watching almost like the whole time. I was out like for 5 minutes, but
What are your thoughts on the next game? What are you hoping to see this evening?
I don't know. I got a little bit upset when they released the teaser, like because I was hoping like for a modern era game.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Maybe they will improve the things of Battlefield 1. I mean, the good thing about this this new game is that at least they have a solid base. Because BF1, in my opinion, maybe it wasn't the funniest game of all the all the series, but it worked really well in terms of connection and also in graphics in consoles, for example. And that if they manage to both take the funniest part of, for example, games like Battlefield 3 and also the stability of Battlefield 1, they could make the greatest game in all the Battlefield history. So let's see.
Yeah, that sounds promising. So essentially, you think it's a good foundation to build on with the engine and.
Yeah, that's at least the good part of that they are making the World War II era. I mean, that's what I see.
I mean, to their credit, I mean, one thing that maybe gets failed to mention, Battlefield 1, when it was released, must have been the most beautiful game ever released anywhere. Like, I'd never played anything that's that pretty. Like, just the destructible environments, the music, like, all of that stuff. I really think they nailed it. Like, yeah, the music is great in BF1. I mean, and it seems promising for the next game as well, but quite different though in something. What about the competitive aspects, Phantom? Have you been playing any incursions?
Yeah, I have been playing incursions a little bit. And also I was about to play the BFN tournament, but we had some problems lately. But anyways, I have enjoyed playing incursions because I think that they at least are like trying to improve the things. Although I would change some things. Like, for example, I would include a single life mode because I think that maybe it's not funny for the players, but we also need like that they make the game funnier to watch to the spectators, because the esports are nothing if no one watches you.
Yeah.
So
that would make the game so punishing. I would never be able to play incursions.
So maybe I'm looking forward for something like this, and also maybe an updated version of incursions, because I don't think that they have like kind of informed a lot about incursions to the public. I mean, they just put it a tweet when they release it.
Yeah.
And also the thing that they didn't include it in the base game was the main point, that because of that they aren't getting enough players for the competitive mode.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Did you generally agree with the Slendy's points there about making matchmaking easier in the game? And like, Lamp, your mic is super low for me. Is it just for me?
Yeah, no, it's normal. This mic is pretty fucked up.
Hello, is it better now?
Getting a live audio test there. Well, to me personally, I can hardly hear you. So.
It's the same for me.
Would like to join.
Rogue Monkey. Oh yeah, let's invite Rogue.
Thank you, Equitas, for the 100 bits. I can now afford.
But yeah, Phantom is right. It's going to be interesting to see if they're releasing incursions again as a separate client, or if they're going to have it in the main game client.
It has to be the main game. I mean, come on, man. It just can't work.
No, I feel they're going to use it as a separate client again, so they can update it easily and stuff.
Come on, man. Just pray.
They're gonna do it. Sure.
Hello, Rogue Monkey.
Hi. Hello.
How's it going?
What's wrong with your mic, Lamp? What's up with that?
Listen, right? Can you hear me normally now? Is it normal?
Nah, it's really low still. I'm gonna turn you up. Hang on.
Oh my god.
This is a good start. Come in, this Lamp.
I'm so done. You know what? I'm done.
How's it going, Rogue? How are you doing?
I'm doing good, Mr. Boss Man.
What's your take on? I guess you've been following the stream a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, you maybe do a quick introduction. You're a YouTube creator, right?
Yeah. I've been creating...
majorly successful. You're like the Canadian equivalent of PewDiePie, more or less, I think.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But us Canadians don't like to brag, so keeping it modest.
A humble PewDiePie. Okay.
Yeah, humble, exactly.
Yeah. What have you been talking about ahead of the game with the visitors to your channel? I guess it's an interesting question to ask.
Well, I've been very adamant on maybe going back to the modern era of Battlefield and modern era of first-person shooters in military style. I feel like it's more relatable for myself as opposed to maybe historical wars, which I feel like they have a little bit of less freedom of creating stuff because they still have to stay historically accurate to a certain degree, and that might at some point in time hurt their creative process of just making new things or just having something a little bit more wacky in the game, which they might not be able to do with a game that is set in a theater of historical war.
That's a good point, but at the same time, I mean, even if you do Modern Warfare, you have to keep it accurate, right? Like,
yeah, you have to keep it accurate.
But
I mean,
the level of drones that actually exist and so.
Yeah, of course. There's a level that you have to respect to make the game like still realistic, because that's the style of Battlefield. But I mean, they can create maps that maybe wouldn't exist otherwise. Like in Battlefield 1, even all the DLCs that came out, they were all maps or battlefields that actually existed, as opposed to, let's say, for example, Battlefield 4. They even created, and you guys were talking about it earlier, a map from scratch with the community, which maybe they couldn't have done in Battlefield 1.
Yeah. That's a good point. So it was a bit of a downer to hear that they were doing a World War II game then.
Test.
Oh my God!
Jeez.
Kill it with fire. Jesus. Okay, that's better. That's better, Lamp. It wasn't a downer. I'm still gonna be like glad, and I'm gonna play Battlefield for an insane amount of hours, even if it's World War II. But I always preferred a little bit the more modern take on shooters.
I'm just looking forward to some more of your fantastic content. You know, I really enjoy it.
I appreciate that. But yeah, I don't know.
Did anyone actually play? Because we haven't even touched upon that, but Call of Duty released a COD World War II. Did anyone touch that?
I played it for all of 5 minutes.
Oh, great! So very sticky then.
It's very different. I know a lot of people of the Battlefield community play, or the BFN community play on consoles, and in the past maybe decade, almost a decade of Call of Duty games, we've always had poor ports for PC, like really just terrible ports, and that's how a lot of the PC community stopped playing Call of Duty, because they just weren't up to standards for PC players.
Right. I played COD World War II on console.
Yeah,
actually.
Yeah, I played it on PC when granted it wasn't beta, but honestly, now when they release a beta, it's pretty much the final product that you're gonna get. And there was so many things wrong. Like they had mouse acceleration on, which a lot of people don't like, and more often than not, the aiming with the mouse was tied to your frame rate. So if you had a lower frame rate, it would like be choppy when you aimed and stuff. It was just really bad, and it wasn't an enjoyable experience.
Because that's sort of a narrative. I mean, it was a thing in the past when they actually released the game, but we've almost now forgotten about it. That they dropped the World War II game, and now EA are replying with a World War II game themselves, and these are obviously like two of the biggest competitors for player attention. It's gonna be interesting to see.
Definitely agree.
Comparison videos on RogueMonkey's channel, perhaps.
What's happening in 6 minutes, boys, once they start their stream? Are we going to go offline and react to it once they're done?
Oh, we're going to be live reaction here.
Yeah.
Oh my god, wow. Oh my god, amazing. Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's revolutionary. That's where we are now.
But we want to keep this like somewhat clean, I guess, for the viewers, so that they don't hate us while they're watching the stream. Maybe we should do like quiet reactions.
Like ASMR reactions. Oh my god. That is so amazing.
Someone's mic is horrible. I guess I would expect this to kick off with some sort of keynote speech from someone at DICE, or maybe that be in the middle of the.
I think they're probably going to present it somehow. I'm banking that obviously their host Trevor Noah is probably going to do a little introduction,
Right.
and end up probably popping the trailer first thing, then talk a little bit more about what's what's waiting for us in Battlefield 5 or Battlefield V. Vic, that's for you.
Can anyone like vividly remember the last reveal when they did this for BF1?
Well, I remember Braddock and his like Battlefield tattoo. That was just amazing. They were sitting around this like big desk, right, with a BF1 background on the screen. Was that it? I don't remember. I think
No, there was like a bunch of people playing. They had like this big setup of.
No, that was the second one. That was the second one.
Oh yeah, that's right. There was
The first one was like a small theater where they had all the YouTubers and stuff out. And then I think it started off with some DICE guy or somebody talking about the game, and then they had showed the trailer, and then they had Rusty out with a few DICE guys and talk about how great the game is and shit.
But they're doing it really differently this time. They've got like Noah Trevor and stuff, so I'm really curious as to what he's going to bring to the table for this reveal.
Yeah, hopefully it's pretty funny.
Has anyone followed his comedy at all?
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah.
I think that tree from the community, he's a big fan, I think, right?
Oh.
Representing the EXE.
We had some South African guys in the community as well. Pretty shocked to see him.
Maybe they'll just embrace the whole sarcastic meme culture, and that's why Trevor's there.
Oh god.
Stand-up comedy.
All right, so 4 minutes left, guys.
Lauren said, I hope it won't be a talk show.
Talk show. Yeah.
Camkin in chat, talk how much you want, like people can meet. What do you mean, mate? Like, what are you asking? Sorry.
No, I think he means because we're gonna talk over the live stream. Like
All right,
reveal.
yeah.
So
Don't worry, we'll have like ASMR whispering like about the reveal. Don't you worry, mate. We'll keep it talking to a minimum.
yeah, I guess we just shouldn't talk when they talk.
Right. We're working out the quorum as we're streaming. Oh, this is such a great gameplay, Chaos.
Well, this is the
How long
best
did you
gameplay
spend
they
on
can
this
do in
Easter egg?
What?
How long did this take?
This was only like 20 minutes to complete.
I know it's
Only, yeah, I was about to say like.
I'm just kidding. It's well worth it because I'm sure it took like the devs hours to design. So 20 minutes is fine.
Okay, I'm getting like match nerves now. It's 2 minutes 40 seconds until we know what's happening for. I guess we'll know something.
What's happening there?
Vic in chat saying my body is ready. Well, so is
Maybe I
mine.
should lower my fucking voice because you can't hear my fucking kids
Excuse me.
from.
Excuse me. This is don't swear. Excuse me.
Now it's there.
It's PG-13 here.
Yeah, isn't this a PG-13 stream?
Disgraceful.
We Canadians don't do that, so I wouldn't understand.
Canadians just don't understand swear words. That's the issue.
Except putain, which I guess is both a dish and a swear word.
2 minutes.
No. You get, the swear word doesn't have the E at the end. Only the dish.
Now it should be
You're missing
better,
out.
I guess.
You're missing out, by the way. Just saying.
Yeah, gotta find some good putain.
You haven't lived till you've had that.
So who's going to be actually on the reveal then? It'll be Braddock and Noah. Is anyone else confirmed being there? Dan as well, right?
I'll
Dan?
throw in a bet that we'll see either Alex Jöndal or Oscar Gabrielsson from the DICE Stockholm team.
Oh, well, Oscar, they said that he would be there in the 10 things not to miss during the Battlefield 5 reveal.
Oh, there we go.
Go to the website.
About 1 more minute.
Enter your birth date? What the hell? Leave me alone.
Craft is saying, guys, mute the dishes. Who is doing the dishes in the background?
Phantom.
Someone's in there too.
Phantom.
It's me, but I have closed the door and lowered my fucking mic.
Excuse
What
me.
to do?
Don't swear, friend.
What?
Yeah, info straight from the developers. Coming for Trevor Noah, stay for the developers. Here from DICE team members Andreas Morell, senior producer Lars Gustafsson, Daniel Berlin. Oh, they took out Oscar. What the
So
hell?
we're definitely seeing some new stuff on the actual stream now. So
Oh wow, yeah. P51 Mustang is there. Oh my god, I'm happy now.
All right. Later, I'm gonna have some work to do as soon as the trailer's over.
See you, Rogue Monkey. Thanks for joining.
Later.
It's starting.
Okay, sorry guys, I had to grab something to drink.
Yeah, the stream continues on Mixer, mixer.com/Xbox.
Okay. Well, that sums up the reaction.
So, meanwhile, the stream is going on Mixer. I'll be actually rolling on the image slideshow that I managed to capture from all of the stuff that there was displayed.
Nice one.
Nice job.
So, on our stream, there will be an image slideshow of the stuff that I managed to capture.
We're getting a replay of the trailer again here on Mixer.
Yeah. Yeah, what do you guys think of the trailer?
Intense. It's like watching a Tarantino movie.
I'm surprised.
I think
about the-
Joey summed it up perfectly in the Discord. This does not look like a World War II game.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't necessarily have the
Not at all.
feeling of being a soldier as more of a mercenary maybe this time.
Yeah, the trailer actually disappointed me a little bit, but what they said was really interesting. Like, the first chapter is going to be Norwegian. It's basically what I was saying before the show started. Norwegian walkthrough and all of that stuff about going away from the traditional D-Day landing and cliche stuff. Sorry, I'm watching the trailer. I'm not concentrating on what I'm saying.
No, it's you're right, but yeah, it's.
No, but you're right. I mean, if they wanted to push that stuff, they would have used the more iconic World War II battle, I guess, for the trailer.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they do that. What did they call it? They're like not war stories, but the other thing. Tides of War? Tides of War? Yeah. Is it like going to be exclusive maps and events for a certain amount of time, or?
I've written all the notes down. We can discuss them in the stream.
I wrote a bit as well. Let's see what's going on here on the Xbox stream. Who knows?
Right, they're still showing the trailer.
Anything else?
Nothing on the Pacific front, though. It's all European.
What's with the bill hook in her hand? Like, what's going on?
Yeah,
it's. I don't like it. It's just. I just don't.
I only care about how it plays, to be perfectly honest. But
yeah,
I thought so as well. Usually, I don't care about looks at all, but
are we still streaming, by the way, or can they hear us?
Yeah.
Yes,
We're live.
Okay, no.
So 4.6 million viewers at the moment.
No, I think it's
It's 4,800.
the last one is total views.
Ah, total views. Okay, yeah.
Very important, yeah.
Fucking Xbox players.
I'd love a breakdown on what they're gonna go through in this stream.
Should we skip this and just go back to our stream? Because I don't think they're gonna.
I think one of us can just keep it on in the background, and
Yeah,
if
no
something
worries.
interesting pops up,
Yeah.
All right, cool.
So I guess we could
yeah, let's do this.
Shall we start up with the overall thoughts?
Yeah, maybe we can go like round table and just general reactions, and then start breaking it down point by point. I think Clamp got some notes. I got some notes as well on stuff that might be interesting.
We've only got
conversation.
32 viewers, so let's get some people aware that we're still online and streaming.
Yeah, do never post, but we're gonna round it up now. The Discord is really active for sure.
Yeah, let's let them know in general. Awesome. Okay, should we get started? Lamp, do you want the first word?
Okay, so there are things I like and don't like. I'm just going to surmise it now. We'll break it down later. I think it has potential, but there are aspects of this that I really was underwhelmed by.
Cool.
Same.
Makes sense. Synergie. I think we can guess what your overall take was.
Yeah, I mean, usually I'm not the type of person to care about visuals and stuff, but since they were like emphasizing how immersive it is, I was quite surprised to see the trailer be quite cartoony. That's what a lot of people said. Somebody said it looks like Battlefield Heroes. Usually I don't care about that stuff, but since they said it's supposed to be immersive, I was quite surprised they went down that road. Especially with the whole company thing, so it definitely looks like you're gonna have character customization stuff, face paint, etc., etc. We're gonna see how much they're gonna expand that, to what extent. So that's gonna be interesting to see, because that, personally, I don't care about that too much. Though I was quite surprised to see that cartoony, but I think definitely that's gonna hit people the wrong way. A big part of the community. Seeing that face paint and stuff, etc., and the trailer overall looked pretty cartoony. I think that's going to be interesting to see how that pans out.
What about you, Chaos? What are your thoughts on what we've seen this evening?
It definitely it brings me up the point that at the start of Battlefield 1, the community was always asking for or the majority of the community was asking the customizability on your character and stuff like that, on weapons and stuff. And definitely now it seems like DICE has delivered that customizability there. These characters definitely don't look any ordinary soldiers. And as I said earlier, they definitely are more into the mercenary type of a.
Yeah, in fact, Shrew just said in BFN chat, I'm sorry if it's a bit, not safe for streaming, but that moment when you thought it was going to be a realistic World War II game with true bloody gritty battles, and then you find out it's Fortnite 2.0 with women with claw hands and Bob the Builder whacking a balls.
That's an angle.
So,
all right.
When it comes to customization, it's important to know that a lot of people said they want customization for guns, or at least that's how I remember. I didn't, or was it? Some people asked for a character customization, like skins and stuff.
Yeah, I've seen that.
It seemed
Really?
to be quite popular.
I just saw a lot of people get upset because there was like no gun customization in BF1, like no muscle break, grip, whatever. But I've never seen a lot of people ask for like, I want my character to look a certain way and shit.
I personally,
because that also has a big gameplay impact.
Yeah, I think there's a mixed crowd. Some who just wanted deeper weapon customizations, while others. I mean, there are players out there for sure that appreciate the cosmetic enhancements. But okay, I guess that gives us an overall idea. What about your your general feeling about it, Chaos? Overall positive, overall negative? Do you have any? Did anything linger in the stomach, so to say?
It's really still hard to say. It's really still would need to be waited for the actual gameplay, how it actually plays.
Yeah.
Because I personally wouldn't really be caring too much about how the actual characters might be looking at. And again, the Battlefield 1 already was a good example of the fact that it's not really that historically accurate. So this definitely seems to be going into that same direction, that they're not going for the accuracy here at all, but they're going for something new, so to say.
Right.
But the team, there is not really this huge issue, or wouldn't be any huge issue at all. It's really all about the gameplay for me, at least. So hard to say at this point how it would actually play.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, so Lamp, I think both of us have quite a few notes. It would be interesting to discuss some of the aspects of that reveal one by one, really kind of drill down on it.
Yeah, I agree.
Should we just go like one each, sort of? And,
should we work our way like chronologically through the things they've discussed, and then we'll have our input and then go that way? Yeah.
We'll wing it. Do you want to kick it off?
Yeah, okay, so they mentioned something about playing Breakthrough, and they mentioned day one you're jumping out of an airplane and you're part of or working with the Norwegian resistance, and your mission is to take out artillery. And they mentioned that it's a multi-day assault over many different days with different game modes, and the ticket count carries over. So
this was the grand operations that they were talking about, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
It was almost like a war of attrition. By the end of it, if you get that far, you're limited on ammo, and yeah, I guess trying to capture more realism in that sense, at least.
Yeah, exactly. So my initial thoughts are, it sounds pretty good. I like how. I mean, I was watching the Twitch comments on their stream, and everyone was like hoping for D-Day and stuff. But personally, I'm happy they've gone away from the traditional cliche war setting and done a Norwegian resistance mode. I think it has a lot of potential. I don't know if it's going to be featuring the people we've seen in the trailer, with the face paint, or whether it's just going to be paratroopers. What do you think?
Right. So if this is a continuation of operations, right? Because that's how I saw it, or at least how I filtered that new feature, is a more epic version almost of operations, where you essentially string together several operations, maybe, but also mixing up the game modes. So it sounds very big. That was my initial reaction, because an operation is already big. It can last almost 2 hours. So yeah. Yeah, big. That was really my main takeaway from that. I don't know how they're gonna squeeze that into a I'm one of those people that can easily sit and play an operation for several hours. But
Well, they said actually it would be 1 hour long, so they obviously must have planned something to make it
I
really.
didn't catch that.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah.
They definitely also said that it can happen that you don't play certain parts of the operation, like certain maps and game modes in one grand operation. So that's going to be interesting to see.
Right.
That it could maybe happen that on certain grand operations you like never reach one stage and never play like one map, for example.
Yeah.
That's an interesting risk they took.
So I'm a super big fan of operations. That's probably the thing I love most about the BF1, and the reason I don't struggle with maybe to the same degree as Synergie is because I really like this new thing they created with the new game. So with that said, since operations did really well, I think it's still one of the only active game modes. If you try to pop up a game right now, you'll find people playing operations, and they really made that kind of the headline game mode, headline grabbing game mode in BF1. It's the first option in the menu, all of that stuff. So with that said, since it's probably been a success, and now they're building on top of that, I expect good things. And I didn't mention that in the initial reactions, but I'm overwhelmingly positive about this reveal. Like a lot of stuff was revealed. I think most of it is good, but I'll make sure I'll be critical as well.
But the problem with operations is in BF1 that one of the reasons that it exceeded so well was because most of the conquest maps, especially the rush maps, were pretty bad in BF1. So you either had the option to play the really bad rush maps, the bad conquest maps, or the good operation maps. Like they didn't give you a choice or something. Whereas in BF4, BF3, and previous Battlefield titles, all the conquest maps were pretty damn good. So there was no need for operations or something.
Right.
So I think if all the conquest maps in BF1 were really good, maybe people wouldn't have played operations that much.
It's a lot of hypotheticals. I mean, a counter to that would be, perhaps people are simply enjoying the operations experience. It's
okay. Many are, of course, but still, that's what I mean. And also, operations it's like with matchmaking, right? There's no server browser for it.
No, they introduced it now towards the end.
Did?
They actually added.
Oh, really? They did?
For operations, yeah.
So you can host operations on your own server?
Yeah. It's possible.
It looks like they've removed behemoths and elite kits now as well. I haven't seen any of them at all mentioned.
Yeah. That was a nice catch there, Lamp. Didn't see that either. Okay, we digress a little bit, I guess, but your original point was about grand operations. Anything else anyone wants to add to that?
No.
I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Okay. Fortification system, really interesting.
Yes, okay, let's discuss that. I guess that's where a lot of you guys were like, oh, what? How is this going to work? So, yeah, I mean, Synergie.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the most important question is it like set places and set things you can build? Like it says maybe just on an A, for example, on an A flag there's a certain house, a certain barrier that you can build. It shows where you can build it. Or is it certain stuff you can build wherever you want?
So the notes I have for this are, they mentioned that support players will get a toolbox instead of a gas mask. They didn't say support players explicitly, but they said that at a later stage. If they're replacing the gas mask with a toolbox, I mean, the gas mask is part of the common arsenal for all of the classes, right? So I don't think anyone's getting a toolbox. It's probably just the support class. They'll be able to set up fortifications. It looked just by looking at that screen where he was actually building the fortification, it seems like it was something that you do in a predefined area, but I think it's kind of hard to say.
Yeah, that was my question. But I'm also guessing it's going to be a predefined area, because otherwise it will be really hard to balance the whole map around that.
Yeah. Can you imagine if you're playing ground operations and there's a big field and you've got 10 support classes all building massive sand bunkers? I think it has to be balanced somehow.
Yeah, it's probably going to be predefined areas. And the question is it going to be you can rebuild all houses and stuff? Because they said emphasize the house thing. You can like destroy houses and then build them back up again.
It's not building back up. It was more like reinforcing a destroyed house, which is kind of, it's pretty much what actually happened in World War II and in most wars, where it's just like a row of sandbags with like an MG42 embedded inside it, you know. So if you're attacking, okay, so I'll give you an example. In Grand Operations, they mentioned on different days you have different modes. So day 3 was going to be Conquest Assault, and day 4 Final Stand. So I can really imagine you have one team trying to completely destroy a city, completely level it, and then you're pretty much just building sandbag fortifications and foxholes, putting holes in walls in a really close combat CQC environment. And basically, you just have that all being built up. The attacking forces that have their grenades and whatever explosive just to try and retake the city. So I think it can make for some really good gameplay dynamic when you have, you know, all back and forth, fortifications going back up and down.
I mean, the scenario I'm picturing here is so within a typical operation, where I guess mechanics like these, they get used most in those scenarios rather than a competitive match or something like that. Perhaps. I mean, we'll see. But it would be the situation perhaps where yeah, I mean, one team has leveled the opposing team's cover. And you see that on, well, take the first sector in Verdun Heights, for example, where if that happens and the forest gets leveled, you're in a situation really where one side is really getting pegged back just from snipers. And in that a situation like that, I could really see how something like this could be beneficial, that you could gain some ground and push the line a bit if you had the option to actually build some cover. Interesting mechanic.
Yeah, I'm hoping... Hello, hey, what's up? I'm actually hoping on if you turn the situation around and you have an attacking force, I'm hoping the benefit is that everything is a lot more destructible. Unlike Fort de Vaux, for example. So you can kind of create your own passageways, your own flanking moves and stuff. It's kind of what Lars was saying in the stream. You're really giving the agency back to the players to create their own experience. So if you can literally just destroy everything and make your own passages through the city or whatever, I think that would be much more fun. And it breaks down the challenge of choke points and stuff. And the choke points you can control by building them yourself instead of always having the same 2 or 3 on a map.
Right. And I think they really need to tackle the obvious elephant in the room that comes with something like that, which is especially I think the competitive community and people who are really mindful of the small, detailed mechanics of the game are going to worry that, oh, now they've added one more parameter that can go array, and sort of make the gameplay weird in a way. So I think a lot of maybe skepticism comes from that place. I don't know. But they'll definitely have to tackle that and get it to a place where they won't have to patch that up, 3 times until it actually works as intended.
Yeah, but I think they're gonna add it to incursions, like on a small scale maps, the incursions there will be. I think like having like a few like extra spots where you can build up cover and stuff would actually be a cool way to mix things up.
Yeah.
So but like you said, it's gonna be interesting to see how polished that will be, because like what happens, for example, if you like in the building animation somebody shoots at you and stuff. Like if is it going to be like building up while the animation is going, or is it only built as soon as the animation is done?
Good question.
Yeah, stuff like that.
We shall know soon. Does anyone else want to add anything on the topic of fortifications?
Yeah, on the trailer there's actually this one specific situation where you actually can see that players are building a fortification. It was the spot, or someone pointed it out in the chat, and I just saw the clip myself, that at the clip where the actual first-person view starts on the gameplay, in that specific section there is actually a player building a fortification. It seems like
we just saw now on Mixer. They just streamed. Yeah. So it's
just
it's a process
into a wall. So
it's not instant, at least by the looks of it. From
well, sorry to burst in like this, but the fortification is probably going to be it's a game changer one, and like you say, it's going to bring a different different dynamic to the game. If you go back to Battlefield 4, certain maps, I don't know if all of you played Battlefield 4.
Everyone except me, I think.
Yeah, I played that. Yeah.
Okay, do you remember specifically Gold Mud Railway on, for example, Team Deathmatch or Domination?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so if like when you're playing that map, if people were running with rocket launchers, RPGs, SMAs, C4, literally the whole map could be leveled by the time that you were halfway through, and that just wasn't fun because you were basically just running through like an open field. And I don't know, it was just fortifications can probably fix problems like that were happening in maps that had so much destruction that there was literally nothing to get cover behind.
Mm.
But yeah, they're going to have a lot of probably balancing issues at the beginning to see how fast you can build it versus how fast you can actually destroy that specific fortification. And if there's going to be a cooldown, I would suppose there's going to be a cooldown, because if there's not, then you're just going to end up being like Fortnite kind of thing where you can just build as long as you have the materials.
Right.
And I don't think that is a good thing at all.
Let's hope they patch that up quick. I want to speed things up. There's so many points that were in that reveal. Okay, picking the next topic here. Co-op. Let's talk about this.
Finally.
Yeah.
What was this? You guys need to help navigate me here a bit, because they said co-op, right? And it's been a thing in previous games that I probably haven't played.
Battlefield 3.
So was that player versus computer then, or
Yeah,
it was player versus computer.
Okay, because I kind of took this as their take on the Battle Royale thing, since you
No.
oh no, okay, you're in the squad.
No, definitely not.
You need survival, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Now, to me, it looked like you can play like co-op with your friends against like AI, and I think the really important thing he said that you can have like go to a how do you say it
a different theater or setting.
Yeah, like to like a certain amount for the map to like get like objectives and stuff. And I think the really important thing is that you get rewards, and I guess like the more you do after a certain mission, the better rewards you get. But he said that you have to like consider whether you want to go out now or try keep going on. So I guess if you die, like maybe you lose all your rewards and stuff.
It sounded like some kind of survival type of scenario there. A little bit like, I don't know if you guys know of the game Escape from Tarkov.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
A little bit like that, because he was talking about extraction. So maybe you're getting rewards at a certain point, but then there becomes to be so many enemies, or you're so low on resources that it's kind of a gamble to actually stay in that specific war scenario and losing all the stuff you acquired, as opposed to maybe extracting a little bit early to finish with all the rewards or something.
This sounds really fun. Like,
it's going to be interesting to see how they implement co-op, because in Battlefield 3, which is the last game we had co-op on, it was literally just like little missions that you had to do with a friend.
It was just like the campaign areas chopped out, and then like waves of enemies.
Yeah, and there was a new mission specifically for co-op that you could only do in that game mode. But I really loved co-op. I've always wanted co-op to come back to Battlefield, so that's got me really excited to play with some friends in a kind of like a less competitive scenario, right? There's always a little bit, you can be a little bit more laid back as opposed to playing multiplayer, for example.
Like
most of you playing competitive.
Yeah.
Somebody says it's like zombies, but they shoot at you.
Exactly.
All right, and I mean, when they showed the co-op game mode, that's also one of those situations where we saw some of these more like fantasy-esque kind of aspects of the kits. We got the bill hook again, I think. Is it a bill hook? Is that the right word? The woman with the prosthetic arm.
No, I don't think that's the proper word, but we get the point.
Yeah, points are good. Okay. So I don't know if there's anything much more to say about the co-op game mode. I actually misinterpreted that as their push for a battle royale. So thanks for catching that.
Someone in chat as well. Sorry to interrupt you there, but someone in chat posted, and it's also on stream now from Jack Frags. The trailer was impressive in terms of how cinematic and polished it was, but I don't think it represents the gameplay at all. Most people will watch that trailer and think it's just a flashier version of BF1. I kind of did get that impression. I think it was really very color corrected. It looked very bright. I think they actually tried to cram too much into it with everything like.
They tried to cram every aspect of Battlefield into a single minute and a half trailer, and
exactly,
it just didn't work all that well.
It didn't work at all, really. I don't think we get a good impression of what the game's going to be like just from that. I don't think the game was really shown off, realistically as in how it's actually going to play once it's released.
Kind of surprising considering the success of the previous trailer.
Yeah, but they've departed from that. Also, someone in Twitch chat was saying they saw on YouTube, apparently they've got a different creative lead as well. So it's not the same guy producing the trailers anymore. And you could tell it was drastically different. In fact, it reminded me of Bad Company because I think they tried to implement some humor into there, like the car falling off the bridge onto the soldier and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It seemed to be too flashy for maybe what they want to achieve in Battlefield. They've always went for that kind of gritty feel and war is hell thing, as opposed to maybe a Call of Duty trailer where it's a little bit more over the top, crazy kind of action-packed movie trailer thing going to it. I don't know. I was a little bit torn on the trailer.
Well, we did have a discussion before the reveal about how some people were disappointed hearing that they were taking a World War II approach because that's going to limit the scope a bit. It seems like they did it and they're not limited anyway. So.
No.
Yeah, and that I think that turns off a lot of people, a lot of history buffs
right.
that are probably quite disappointed to see everything that's being implemented into Battlefield 5.
We'll have to get Flagfire's reaction at some point.
I wonder if there's mentioning about the fact that the game is World War II based now, because it seems like the conversation definitely has shifted in other areas of the trailer instead of the actual era.
Definitely.
We're seeing some gameplay now on Mixer.
Oh, really?
Is that just a take of the trailer? No.
I think that's just a trailer.
Yeah. Just to transition to that, I'll give you the next point, Lamp. There's new movement here. What's that motion where he's thrown back and shooting at the same time?
Yeah, he's crawling backwards.
How's that gonna play? I'm trying to think of buttons when I see that. And
I think it's gonna be like in BF4 when you have the melee animation, you have to fight out of it. I think it's gonna be like spam this button to move while pressing R2 to shoot, or something like that. I think that's how it's gonna work, to be honest.
Okay.
I really don't know how that's going to play out. And at some point in the trailer, it looked like he was dolphin diving, for lack of a better term, while shooting at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm really not sure how that's going to play out. He's drop shotting, and I don't think that's going to fly.
Yeah, because it's like the Zuzu jump and the slide drops are all coming back to the game.
Exactly.
Sure
I was never a fan of the crouch sliding, and I've made that clear in the past that just a cheap gimmicky mechanic. The fact that you could slide uphill was absolutely ridiculous, and the fact that you could slide on asphalt nonetheless, I just always found it really, really ridiculous.
Chap says in the chat, sorry to interrupt you, but
no problems.
I heard, I can tell you're Canadian. I can hear in the chat, I can see in the chat, he says something about medics having to heal people and auto regen is taken out. Have you guys heard that? Because I didn't hear that.
I don't know if he's referring to Call of Duty, because in Call of Duty I know that auto regen is no longer a thing. So I really don't know.
In Call of Duty, you still have auto regen, but in the campaign,
not in Black Ops 4. Sorry.
Oh, not in Black Ops 4?
No, they took it out. There's no more auto regen health in Black Ops 4.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, he says it's not in the trailer. It's in Jack Fragg's video. So following on from that, he says you can't throw med kits. It's a full animation to take one from a soldier now. It will take several seconds, and it's no longer.
Yeah, and claiming that Jack Fragg's released a shitload of info. Could we do some research in the background about that and see if there's anything that we can look at?
I'll be doing research over the next few days to hopefully get some content out on the channel, of course, with the help of our lovely content creation team.
Yes.
But obviously some people have a little bit more access than we do for certain information.
Lab, do you want to take the next talking point?
Yeah, sure. I was going to watch his video, but it's 25 minutes, and
yeah, he made that. He made that right after the live stream for sure.
Oh,
not made 2 days earlier. Definitely not.
All right. So next talking point I would like to bring up is soldier customization, both cosmetic and with weapons and stuff, and progression.
Awesome.
I think it's a really good idea because I think you can really add some personality to your persona in game. But on the other hand, I don't really like the idea of progressing and having to unlock your game, your weapons and your attachments and stuff like that. I think progression should simply be cosmetic because effectively it puts you in a situation where if you're a new player starting to play the game, you are at a disadvantage compared to someone who's already been playing for months and has unlocked all the different weapons.
Yeah.
That's a big issue they have in Rainbow Six at the moment.
It's all gonna depend on how much you have to play the game to. Let's say, I'm just speaking out of previous Battlefield titles. For example, how long it's going to take to unlock a red dot sight as opposed to having the crappy version of rendering iron sights in a game. Like, for example, in Battlefield 4, when you unlocked a weapon, you had to attain X amount of kills with that specific weapon to unlock a red dot sight. So it's all going to, I think, be a balance between, like, okay, you have to obtain progression for the specific weapon, but at the same time, you can't make it too long at the beginning to have those new players at a disadvantage for a significant amount of time. If that makes sense.
I understand why they're doing it because obviously they want to retain players and have them come back and play, and they're removing premium. Yeah. These are the notes I have from the reveal trailer. So you'll unlock abilities and perks as you progress within a class. You unlock new weapons as you progress, and custom paints and custom outfits. So it seems like basically all of the in-game content will come purely out of playing the game, which is what Lars was saying with rewarding players for playing. But I don't really agree with everything. I think, like I said, it should just be cosmetic and not the weapons.
I think it's more rewarding if you're unlocking a weapon rather than a color of I don't know, trousers or whatever. And I guess that's one of the reasons. And I mean, we have this in Battlefield 1, right? Where unless you buy one of these starter kits, how they call that? I don't know.
The kits that unlock everything for like a class or whatever.
Right. You have to actually play to unlock certain guns. But I think they did it quite tastefully, where it's not like you get the laser dotted bazooka when you played enough. It's actually guns that sometimes are generally speaking seen as worse guns than some of the ones you start off with. So I think that makes sense. All of this makes complete sense to me, and it all ties together, just like you said. I mean, we can't have it all at the same time. We're not going to get a free game, right? So they need to monetize the game somehow, obviously. Huge company, EA. Money needs to come from somewhere, and they're now removing the premium pass, right? They also clearly state that no extra DLCs, anything like this, which kind of hints on the fact that they're going to release a lot of new interesting content during the game life cycle instead, which is awesome, I think.
I want to touch on that right after you're done. Sorry.
Yeah. And then that kind of ties back to, okay, so how are we going to be making money? Well, obviously it's going to be through these kind of microtransactions in the game. They didn't mention anything about loot boxes or anything like this. They only said, yes, you'll be able to customize your character and unlock new weapons. And obviously there's going to be some mechanic here where you can pay to do that quicker. I think that's a perfect formula, in my opinion, for what they should be doing.
I thought they said that there was, I mean, even Noah made a joke, like, there is no way you can pay to win. So do you think when they said that you can't pay for cheats or unlocks, that only covers weapons, or do you think cosmetics will be, will form some part of microtransaction economy where you can pay?
I think it'll be only cosmetic items that you'll be able to unlock via paid microtransactions. I don't think they're talking about any weapons here. They might have starter kits like they've had in previous Battlefield titles. I personally never been a fan of that, but at the same time, I mean, for new players that have a lot of disposable income, it might be a good thing, but I don't think it's a good thing in the long run.
I don't mind that. To be honest, like when I started, I got the game for PC, BF1, and I'd already unlocked all that shit on PS4. I was actually thankful that I could actually buy myself way out of it and to play with the weapons I already wanted to play with.
Before we move out of the point of live service, though, the other day, not to promote my own channel, but I made an analysis video on are live service games a good or bad thing. And basically what I was talking about is, for example, you take a game like Rainbow Six Siege, okay? So live service is a thing for Rainbow Six Siege, and it is a good thing because at first they didn't have a very big player base. Within the first couple of months, the player base had dwindled down to 10,000 players average per month for a AAA title, which isn't very good numbers when you're looking at it. But, you know, if they have a company like Ubisoft that kept pushing content, even though they knew that the game was slowly dwindling down and had a dwindling player base, they kept at it, they kept adding content, and eventually it became the fourth most played game on Steam, which is a very good thing. But if you look on the flip side, a game like Star Wars Battlefront 2, which was promised to be a live service game, and now the player base is rapidly declining at an alarming rate. And of course, the loot box microtransaction fiasco that happened at the beginning of the title didn't help. But the fact remains that it was promised as a live service game. A lot of the content that people wanted wasn't in the game at launch, and they were promised that it would be there in the future. But with a live service game, they have no legal obligation to produce DLC content. If they feel like it's not worth their time or their money, they can just stop the support of the game altogether and have no ramifications for it, except maybe a couple of angry fans of that specific game or people who bought the game with the promise of having that specific DLC content added in the future.
Right, but in this case, you're not paying any extra anywhere. It's just the reliance really of them that people will buy these microtransactions. They will buy these in-game items. So I don't think anyone is really getting robbed of anything. And that's my perfectly honest opinion.
Yeah, people aren't getting robbed, but it's just that if people expect DLCs, well, if the game's not performing well or up to their standards of player base, then they can just say, okay, we're pulling support for this game because there's not enough people playing it, and it's just not worth the time and money that they're investing in this. I mean, sure, they're going to make money from microtransactions. I have no doubt on that, but it doesn't force them to have to produce and release DLC content for the community.
That's true. That's an interesting point.
What they've done. I'm a big fan because without premium, you're not splitting up the player base anymore. Yeah. Everyone has access to the important aspects of the game, and by keeping payments just for cosmetic things, there's no pressure to buy the DLC to join your friends and play. It's just really a lot easier, and it shows that, at least to a certain extent, they've kind of got the message that these companies don't, they can't continue exploiting their player base like this, and they have to.
So it sounded like political.
I'll rephrase. Like these companies, they instead of providing content which you pay for, they provide the content which you pay for, but in a fashion that doesn't really affect your in-game experience. Because if you've got face paint, it's not going to be like fucking, sorry, I swore, like radioactive face paint where everyone around you dies. It's like purely cosmetic. No one cares. It doesn't affect your gameplay experience. You still have access to the map. I think it's a really good thing they've done.
Yeah, and the next step after this, obviously, is, and that's, I think, is going to depend on the result, kind of data that they can gather from this, is can we make the game free to play altogether? That of course depends on how many of these transactions occur and how good are they at creating interesting in-game items. If you look at other games, I don't even have to mention them. There's so much
something that starts with an F
right now.
Sorry, I mean without
something that starts with an F.
Or Counter-Strike.
That too.
There's such a market of transactions taking place of in-game items, to the degree where third parties are starting huge ecosystems just to sell and buy these items. There's this whole industry building around it. So I guess EA wants in on that, and this could be a way. They have a lot of kind of ground to catch up on.
I think without going too broadly into the whole industry and how it's going to look in the future, but I do think to wrap this up, the industry is moving in a direction where the main content of the game is going to become free, and then those people who want to support and play the game will then have the option to pay for cosmetic things rather than actually paying for content which they need to play.
Yeah.
Should we go back to the Twitch chat, because Chap said something interesting, so is Formula. So you can dive in all directions now, forward, back, left, right. You can,
We're going to be dolphins now.
Yeah. So I think that's really interesting. What do you guys think about being able to dive backwards onto your ass and then crawl back and shoot? We've kind of touched on it, but I think it's an interesting dynamic now, given the kind of environments we'll be playing in World War II. They mentioned Rotterdam, for example, really hand-to-hand, close quarters combat.
So I kind of imagine this. I don't know if I'm really imagining it in the right way, but I'm thinking of this as, do you remember the Max Payne mechanic where double tap backwards and he would fly?
Yeah, sort of jump through the air while shooting kind of thing. That's what you're talking about?
Maybe not that extreme, but...
well, I think it just makes sense movement-wise to be able to... sorry for interrupting you. But I think it just makes sense that you'd be able to, like, I don't know, fall on your back or on your side when you're proning. I don't know. That's just personal opinion there.
I'm just thinking about how people will be able to abuse it.
Oh, it's going to be abused for everything. So
I mean, if you look at the track record of how DICE has been able to do animations and hitboxes and stuff. I mean, just look at the sliding in BF1. That took them forever to fix and change. Or vaulting since BF3, which hasn't bugged forever. So it's going to be interesting to see how they implement it. And if they want it to be like a core game, like element of gunplay, of like how people, if they want people to use it mid gunfights and stuff, or if they just want people to use it to get from cover to cover. Because the way it looked in the trailer, it looks like a fluid animation where you can shoot while doing it, which people might be able to use in gunfights and stuff.
Yeah. Interesting. That's going to be fun to actually try out. Yeah. Okay. I guess other topics from the reveal. Did anyone catch that boatyard map? That looked great. Like, I really want to play that.
You mean the image?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks good. It looks really good.
You mean the one that looks like a French city?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, it looks really nice.
Yeah. Okay, so we had a war story, young woman, Norwegian fight. I mean, they did mention the unseen locations, the untold stories, the unplayed moments. They specifically mentioned a few regions like Scandinavia, Rotterdam, North Africa. I mean, are we going to see any of the like classic battles? Do you think? Like,
I personally don't think we will. No.
I think we probably might, because they were talking about multiple different theaters and settings, kind of thing. So at the same time, people expect a certain amount of classic fights from World War II that they already know and have experienced through either movies, books, or stuff like that. Yeah. So I think they might include maybe a few, maybe not as much as, for example, older titles that include all of the classic battles like D-Day and all that stuff, but definitely probably at least a few.
I think you're probably right. Probably not D-Day, but their first chapter. So a wider scope on this. They're calling different theaters of war chapters. So chapter 1, they said, is the fall of Europe. So I think they're going to have to some point, to some degree, implement all of these different large battles that really took place. So maybe the invasion of Poland, the invasion of France, the invasion of Denmark, maybe, or the Netherlands. So we will be seeing big battles. But I think the really cliche ones like D-Day won't be included.
And you won't be seeing the invasion of Sweden. So.
Yeah.
Oh wow, Chap just released really interesting info. There's gonna be something like called squad streaks. Yeah. Apparently,
Sorry, go ahead. My bad.
apparently all the points you make as a squad accumulate, and your squad leader can spend them on certain assets like the rocket you saw in the trailer, or non-combat vehicles or weapon drops, etc.
Okay, a little bit like from the commander from Battlefield 4, where he could award certain perks to the squad, like fast spawn or stuff like that, if they did a good enough job. Or
That's interesting.
Also,
I
like,
wonder-
though, he says you can call in rockets like in the trailer. So basically, World War II version of nukes. I'm not sure if I like it.
I don't love that.
No.
Yeah, it's not gonna be it looks like it really like assets like rockets, non-combat vehicles, weapon drops, etc.
like having an integrated commander kind of thing.
Yeah, but in every squad.
What came to mind for me was how that plays into a potential incursions. I mean, we didn't. That's kind of noteworthy. We didn't hear anything about the competitive side. Kind of expected, though. I guess you wouldn't push that hard in a reveal like this, considering the stage. Yeah, well, considering the stage that Battlefield Incursions is currently in, but how a mode or a feature like that could play into to incursions, where I guess a squad leader or a leader, whatever, would have a global economy to spend on stuff for the team, because that's already something you're doing in games like Counter-Strike, right? You have the
True.
It really puts I think this is actually, I'm thinking outside the lines, but a way to monetize the game with squad boosts and double XP and stuff like that. I mean, they said it wasn't going to be paid to win, but, you know, if you've got a squad boost, you earn double the points, you can call in perks twice as fast or something.
That would be pretty insane.
Yeah, watch out.
I doubt they would do that.
We're warning now. Early warning. Don't do that.
Yeah, please don't.
Yeah, but I think they're definitely going to add that to incursions, like with the global economy thing, like you said, because that will be maybe like add more strategy and stuff, make it more interesting for people to watch. But in a 64 Conquest match, every squad leader being able to call in certain assets sounds pretty...
I don't think that's a good idea.
That's going to be hard to balance. I mean, yeah, that's...
I always liked the dynamic of having a commander. I know it wasn't very popular, but because not every team had one. That was the big problem with having a commander. That literally only sometimes the enemy team had the commander and they already had the upper edge on the fight, and then they have the commander come in, which drop more artillery strikes and all that stuff. I think that was always the problem with the balance.
Also, the commander didn't like add a lot to the gameplay. Mostly, what all it did was a rocket would come in sometimes, kill a lot of people, and then you would constantly be spotted in the minimap for everyone. They didn't really try to implement it in like a fun way in BF4.
Definitely not. They definitely missed the boat with that.
Well, they meant what they said when they said it would never be the same.
Yeah, that's
true. That's I mean,
which makes me think, how are they gonna implement suppressors or stuff like that? Because obviously in World War II, suppressors were already much more a thing than in World War I. But
so you get to a few topics that I want to dive into, which is
my apologies.
No worries. It's open discussion. Okay, so they mentioned getting, and I would really like you guys take this, getting physically pushed by explosions.
That sounds insane.
Yeah,
It's horrible. I mean, visually, yeah, fantastic. It's like some horror movie where like people are moved invisibly, but gameplay-wise, I don't know how that's going to work out. Really,
what exactly? How is that going to work? Like, yeah, it's like with the jumping backwards while shooting.
I guess it's only going to be like for big explosions, like rockets and tank shells, not grenades. Otherwise, that would be complete insane. But yeah, they even had it in the trailer. If the rocket exploded, then your character like got launched backwards. I think that's like something that's going to be cool the first 2 times it happens, and then it's just going to be annoying.
But just putting aside the actual gameplay experience part of it, which I totally agree, it sounds really weird. But have we ever seen any other game do something like that? Like
yes, PUBG, but it was a bug.
Yeah, fair enough.
But no, I haven't really seen that, and it's going to be interesting to see how it actually performs. Seeing as obviously, I think it's pretty widely known that Battlefield has always had a little bit of a hard time with some certain hitboxes and stuff like that when certain animations are ensuing. Something like somebody jumping over a wall. Well, forget shooting that person. You can't do it.
Yeah.
So
if what Chap is saying is correct, where you have to like physically be next to a medic and pick up the med kit and heal yourself and stuff like that, and then all of a sudden this fucking grenade blows up in your face and you're thrown back 100 meters. Like, how is that going to work together? I don't get it. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
A lot of
If you
open
really
questions.
have to like pick up med packs from your medic and there's like animation you have to go through, that's going to be like insane gameplay changer.
But I like it because you don't have to rely on them to give you something, because we've all had the experience where we're in a game and the medic is just like, they don't know what they're doing, you know, and then you're there like spamming, like,
Also, you just go up to him, you press a button, then the animation starts for yourself.
according to
a little
what
bit like Battlefield Hardline.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody played Hardline.
Yeah.
But,
So you don't do the animation with the medic. Because I understood it the way that the medic comes up to you and then you do an animation together.
It's gonna
Or
be
is it
interesting.
just that you go up to the medic, you grab like the med pack, and then you do the animation yourself?
Yeah, that's the thing. Does he drop, like, for example, if he drops a medical crate like right now in Battlefield 1, is it by animations, do they mean that the player physically has to go to the med crate, press the interact key, which is whatever you want on whatever platform you're playing, to pick up like a bandage or something and start bandaging themselves? Or do they mean that you can just take it from the medic that is just standing there and not paying attention?
No, I think it's definitely going to be like animation you have to go through.
Yeah, you have to like go through and like physically go pick up a bandage from the medical box that's laying around or stuff like that.
It really does fit into the whole narrative that they're pushing now, which is teamwork, because I think they're going to get it to the stage where the success of the team depends on what classes they're using. So you're going to have a good ratio of medics to assaults to supports and like, all of that. Because if you're left with a team with like 2 medics, then you're kind of screwed, because
Always been like that, but no one's cared. That's been the
true.
problem.
Except it's going to be even more critical now, because Chap was saying in Jack Fragg's video, you don't heal automatically. You don't regenerate your health. So unless you
like
find
classic.
unless you find a medic, you're stuck on 20 HP. And what do you do then? You know?
Yeah.
It's like they've created a lot more of a finality to things. Like with grand operations, you don't regenerate your tickets when you move on to the next map. You may never play the last maps. It's like death is more final in this game than in previous titles.
It's more penalizing than in previous Battlefield titles, where you die, you respawn, and you lose a ticket. That's pretty much the only downside there was to death. Of course, except if you're like a KD enthusiast.
I wonder, going back to the being thrown away by grenades, do you think that may work with friendly grenades? Like, I doubt it.
I hope to God that it won't. I hope to God and that to all that is holy that will not happen.
We're getting
because every time I play hardcore in Battlefield, my deaths are from teammates who aren't paying attention to what they're doing every single time.
That's what you get for playing hardcore in Battlefield.
But a lot of my friends always like playing hardcore more because they say it's more realistic. But every time I played it, I got frustrated and I left, just because teammates were just trying to shoot through you like in regular, and all they got was like negative 100 points for killing you. It's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay, so the second point there, similar topic, penetrative bullets.
Wow.
Yeah, they talked about shooting through walls, right? With some of the guns. Can't remember. Was it the MG42 that?
Yeah, Lars was Mr. Battlefield was talking about it actually. Yeah, saying that the effect of a pistol versus an MG42 with a heavier caliber round, they wouldn't have the same effect on a wall or cover, stuff like that.
Yeah. Synergie. How does that work in other competitive FPS games?
Doesn't Rainbow Six also has the amount of the caliber matters, where it makes a certain hole. But I think CS:GO has it that certain guns can penetrate certain walls, and I think COD also has attachments called what is it called again?
It was in. I remember that. It was called,
FMJ or something like FMJ. You can get like certain attachments which allow you to penetrate wallbang through certain walls. So
did you take that as a positive?
Depends how they do it. It depends which guns can do it. If you can wallbang with an LMG, that's going to be insane. If you can,
it's positive.
I mean, it's like, does it improve the gameplay? I would say, It doesn't. The game doesn't need it, in my opinion.
It makes cover a little bit less relevant.
Depends.
To be honest, it depends what the bullet can penetrate.
Yeah, it depends on like what walls, what spots, what guns. But in my opinion, wallbanging
really feels like unanimously among us. I mean, we keep coming back to realism, but it seems like not a lot of us really care that deeply about realism.
If you want a realistic, let's be honest here, Battlefield and Call of Duty are more like arcade shooters. That's just the way it is, and it's true. If you want realism, go play Escape from Tarkov. You will shit your pants. You have no HUD, you have no compass, you don't even have a map. You have to buy the map with money that you find in game, and you just gotta, escape from the game alive.
Right.
If you want a realistic
when we went
game,
over stuff like getting physically pushed by explosions, the kind of gut reaction to that was like, oh, but that's how it actually works in real life.
Well, I would hope so.
Also die from internal damage, so it's not really realistic.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and it's not like you get certain body part damage in Battlefield 5. Somebody shoots your leg's not broken. You can still run. But if you want a realistic shooter, you go in something. Sorry, I'm always coming back to Escape from Tarkov. But if you fall off a rock, both your legs are broken, buddy, you're screwed.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
I think it's good, though, that they've added this because it adds a new level to gameplay. You can't hide behind a wall and then peek and then use ping to your advantage to peek around and kill them. If you've got a heavy weapon or you call your support guy and say, hey, come here, there's a guy behind that wall, and then use that to your advantage, I think it can only be good and increase gameplay.
It really makes for some nice kind of top play videos and things like this.
It depends how they do it. Yeah, it just depends how they do it.
10 camping snipers killed behind the wall.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think that's also going to be is something that they're going to need to balance very well with the spotting mechanic in Battlefield.
Oh, yeah.
Because if the player is always spotted, in Battlefield 4, every time you shot an unsuppressed weapon, you would be spotted automatically on the minimap. Now, obviously in Battlefield 1, that's not the case because suppressors are a rarity. But that in Battlefield World War II or Battlefield 5, are they going to reintroduce suppressors? And the fact that when you shoot an unsuppressed weapon, you appear on the minimap, or are they going to keep it like Battlefield 1?
True.
Spot the person, because if it's just shooting unsuppressed weapons, boy, that cover won't be will be pretty worthless if people are just shooting
into
through
a wallbang section.
Oh yeah.
What else? Gameplay's best on Xbox One. This was news to me.
Whoa. Whoa. PC port? What?
I think that's just marketing shit they came up with.
Yeah. That was really interesting. You get 3 days advance access with the deluxe edition, which is pretty insane.
Yeah.
Wait, only on Xbox or on all platforms? Sorry, I was working at the same time as doing the reveal. Only on Xbox. What?
I'm gonna guess on all platforms.
I would hope so. If it was only on Xbox, that would be
probably the Xbox Deluxe Edition would be like 3 days, and PlayStation PC will be like 2 days or something.
Yeah, I mean the Xbox version was what they marketed pretty hard in, and that's the only kind of covers they showed. But
damn you, Microsoft! I'm running Windows as well. Give me the early access.
Yeah. Okay, no more premium pass. We kind of went over that. Lamp, do you have anything else?
Not really. I think we can probably revisit this and do another one of these in 2 weeks after EA Play, because I think we'll know a lot more by then.
Yeah. I think it's just interesting that Jack Frog said that the game is way more slow paced than people think. Because the notion I got from the trailer, and with all the like movements, they emphasized that it felt like a bit faster game.
Mm.
I'm sure it won't be as fast paced as the trailer portrayed it to be.
Yeah.
The trailer
because that was
insane.
just like my brain couldn't even understand what the hell was happening in that trailer. There was so much stuff.
Yeah. Oh, I did have actually one point that might have been just a misunderstanding on my part, but I don't know if it was Lars or Daniel Berlin who said bigger multiplayer. Bigger multiplayer. Did anyone else catch that?
Do you think he meant the experience or actually like physically bigger?
Maybe.
Because
yeah.
I thought it was 128 cap for PS4 on players.
Yeah.
I would doubt that they put more players in a map. I don't know.
No.
I think the days of 64 player matches are numbered, though. I think it's time for us to get games where you can have like 100 players on each team or something. Just in a complete game.
I think they're going to have a lot of engine optimization probably to do for that because I don't think our hardware is currently capable of having such massive amount of information like rushed to your system, and even bandwidth. Battlefield is one of the games that requires the most bandwidth out of all multiplayer games, and actually a YouTuber called Battle Nonsense made a video on that talking about the server refresh rate, and he was talking about the bandwidth that is required to play at a decent online experience, and it's one of the ones that requires the most bandwidth. So I think we're still a little ways away from that.
We'll see. Maybe we'll be here again in two or 3 years or so, and red person concurrent battle royale mode be released.
You never know.
All right, I'm thinking if we should round this off then.
Well, there's the most important thing to still discuss about.
He awakes.
Did anyone notice the horse?
The horse?
Yeah, I did at the beginning.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, the horse was at the very beginning of the trailer. That was a ornament on top of a tank's hood. But
On top of a tank? Was that it?
Yeah, like an ornament on a tank.
Oh,
The white horse.
wow. Okay, so I mean, next time we'll be
Put your
prepared
glasses on,
for them
Anwar.
they're just gonna fuck with our minds. Then just draw some relevant
PG-13.
Yeah. Okay, well, good stuff. Thank you guys for joining and sitting in with us for this little streamy kind of thing. We should do something more like this. It's pretty fun to talk Battlefield for hours on end.
Can't imagine.
Now it's time for all of you to go to bed.
Yeah.
3.5 hours of the stream, so definitely one of the longer ones where we actually talked all the way through it.
It helps when there's a lot of people. Sometimes talking to yourself for 3.5 hours can be quite daunting.
Thanks to chat. Not chap, but thanks to chat as well. And thanks to chat. And we'll catch you later. Goodbye.
Auf
Thanks,
Wiedersehen.
everyone.
You. See
Au
you guys.
revoir.
Adios.